Back here with Game 2 coverage at the 2016 U.S. Open. Scores are in. Martin Larson still our leader, plus 638. 1 pin ahead of Anthony Simonson. Francois Lavoie, plus 621. Marshall Kent, now at plus 600. Maldonado, Pontus Anderson, Sam Cooley, who we have on feature pair now. Brad Miller, John Drabinski, and Eric Tackett, EJ Tackett in the top 10. That 24th spot is currently held by DJ Archer. DJ shot 279 game number 1 to jump into that spot. Chris Vi, 266. He was the cut number. He jumped from 57th to 41st in one game.
Who is this?
Chris Vi.
Nice.
So 215.6 average plus 392 is currently that 24th spot. And some guys that had a rough start. Dick Allen, Norm Duke, David Haynes, Devin Bidwell, Wesley Lowe, Alex Cavaniero, Aaron Lawrence, all shooting 190s or less. And 187 for Westmont. Those guys all falling back and making that gap to 24th a little bit more difficult. Jason Belmonte, 256. He is definitely going to be in the mix for this event. He's been very quietly just hanging around and slowly moving up the leaderboard the first 3 days. Kind of off everybody's radar. But he's right there.
I'm not going to go out on the largest limb here, but I would imagine that Bill O'Neill's going to bowl well this morning.
Yeah, that's not going out on too big of a limb. He definitely likes him tougher. Former collegiate All-American from Saginaw Valley State University. And
that was a pretty good shot. Yeah, he's not happy about that break. That is one of the few 710s that you leave that it just like, how does that happen? Bill O'Neill almost always, if not always, shoots the 10 pin at the 710. He is still steaming, by the way, over that break.
He might be steaming for a few frames. Yeah, you go spare 4-bagger, and that just slams the door real quick on that good start. But time to get it back. Yeah, I still always remember it because I followed Saginaw Valley for a long time. They're just 20 minutes down the road, kind of our hometown college team. And, collegiate championship match against Rhino Page's Kansas Jayhawks. Bill O'Neill strikes for the win and just stone 10. Just a blower, solid, beautiful shot. Blue hammer, like the best shot of the tournament, just 10 pin. And that cost him. I remember it. I'm sure he does.
Yeah. As he's bowling right next to Rhino this morning. Rhino on that pair just to the right, 39-40. Bowling well, plus 472. I imagine Anthony Lacaze also was on that team at that time.
Yeah, there's been a lot of PBA players that came through Saginaw Valley for, there's a good 10-year stretch there with O'Neill and Lacaze, Dan McClelland. Novak's out here. He's picked up a regional title now. J.R. Raymond went through Saginaw Valley. They had a really, really good run for quite a few years. And collegiate bowling is just so big now. There's so many more teams than what there used to be, and a lot of really, really good competitive teams on the men's and the ladies' side. And we're reaping the benefits out here at these big events, in the big tour events and the Masters and the Open. We look around and see all these early 20-year-old kids that are just really, really good.
Yeah, they're pretty much they carry themselves like they're seasoned pros, but they're not old enough to buy a cocktail.
And on top of the college experience, we just saw Darren Tang, Wesley Lowe, Team USA experience as well. And they just get it seems like there's just so much more they pick up before. 20 years ago, right, you were your best local player. Hey, let's go out on tour. You cut your teeth out there. It takes you 2, 3, 4, 5 years to learn, kind of get your head kicked in a little bit, and then work your way up. These kids show up day one, and they're ready. Andrew Anderson, that kid is ready. He's 20 years old, but he's been in Team USA for a while, a couple years in college. The Tang brothers, Anthony Simonson. He's 18 years old. He's already got a major.
He's 18?
Yeah, he might have turned 19, but still, yeah, he's just, look at his resume. He got an Eagle, a major, national title, bunch of regionals. What's left for him? I think that's one of the most enjoyable things for me anyway through the years, getting to watch even Bill O'Neill through college, watching the way he's matured and growing up. Meeting Anthony Simonson 3 years ago when he was really just a young kid, and where he's gone and grown to today, and just watching people you can call friends have success. Same for you. There's been a lot of people from the East Coast where you grew up getting out here and having some good success, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah, I would say that Simonelli's the top of that list for me as far as age bracket and true friend on and off the lanes, from the same area. Met in junior bowling at a tournament in Vegas, and then started bowling against each other a few years later. Saw each other every week, so yeah. It used to take a little bit longer for sure. We're seeing that, it's like that in golf now too. Another one of those sports where everybody's starting to get in much better shape when they're out here. Everybody's starting to be able to handle defeat better, and they're also able to handle success better, for that matter.
Yeah, great point. Winning isn't easy, right? Learning to win and then accepting it and knowing how to do it again, especially if you win at a young age.
Yeah, like Norm Duke won at 18 and didn't win for a while after that. I mean, he would have had a bunch of titles if he would have been winning at the clip that he was when he got a little bit older, if he was doing that the whole time once he got his first win.
And as we're talking about the experience these young kids have, here's Wesley Lowe, game 2 on the front 9 at the U.S. Open. And he's a freshman in college.
Right, yeah, he's not. The last thing he's thinking about is shooting 300 at the U.S. Open. All he's thinking about is splitting the boards like he has been the whole game. You know, it doesn't jolt these players like it used to. The big stage of bowling the U.S. Open, bowling next to Bill O'Neill, past U.S. Open champion, Norm Duke, Hall of Famer. You know, he's bowling next to some of the best bowlers on the planet right now, and it phases him, not at all. Not to say he doesn't appreciate where he's at, but it's not going to affect his shot making.
Yeah, he's 'And Wesley comes in at plus 245. And he said he's maybe not necessarily thinking about shooting 300, but he's thinking about moving up that leaderboard. That's the most important part. 150 off that 24th spot right now, and this will close that gap in a hurry. Two 300 so far. Andres Gomez and Francois Lavoie, both in the same squad. In round 2.
Yeah, that was the afternoon. That was the second block, right, of the second day, I think.
Yeah, the afternoon, the single burn. And Gomez did it in game number 8 on 21 and 22, our feature pair. So Wesley Lowe looking for perfection and working his way up the leaderboard. Not 300, but 99 more pins to the plus. That's he'll be happy with that. That's Bill O'Neill's first strike after that 7-10 in frame number 6. Jason Belmonte with a chance to shoot 290. Spare next 7. continuing on here with game number 3 at the 2016 U.S. Open. Our first guest of the day, representing 900 Global, Dale Garner. Welcome, Dale, and good morning still.
Good morning.
Got to check the time and make sure it's still morning, but
good to be here.
You know, and good timing. We're here talking about 900 Global, and we got Jacob Budruff, who's a staff member and having a really good year so far.
Quickly rising up the ranks, isn't he?
You know, I first saw him last year at the New Mexico Open, an event that he won, $10,000 event, and since then he's won, I think, just about everything he's bowled. It seems like 8 regional titles to his resume now, 2 national titles with both extra frame events, and the kid's on fire.
He can do something that other people can't. You know, high rev rate, double jointed in his fingers and thumbs, and can get an incredible amount of entry angle with a urethane that he can control most of the time. In almost the conditions, that's gonna lead to, you know, high finishes.
And fearless.
Yes.
He's just not afraid of anybody. He's not afraid to strike, that's for sure. I mean, he set some records, I think, in some regionals and some different centers out here. I heard he had a huge block in the National Bowling Stadium.
He's young. He's confident.
And I said, that's the toughest region. I mean, I see a lot of, that's by far, top to bottom, the toughest region out there.
There's just a lot of good.
And his brothers down there, and yeah, it's just, I mean, we could go on for 10 minutes with all the great players down there. Sean, he's going to win.
Oh, absolutely. No doubt about it.
He's had some opportunities, and I think it was, I think Budruff is the one, it was Budruff's first title was against Sean in the championship match. Where Sean left a 9 count, I think, in the 10 frame. 4-pin maybe, solid 4? Something like that.
Yeah.
To lose, and Jacob was the beneficiary of it, and he's ridden that to a pretty solid season so far.
Well, a young man out of Arizona State University. Jordan Asperg coached him in college and instilled that fearless work ethic in him, and he just believes that he can compete with anybody, and he can.
Title?
It's a program that for about the time 900 Global came around, 2007, has been on the rise and just slowly, grown and gotten better every year.
Since we got you in here for 900 Global right now, we'll talk about it, but a lot of people don't know a lot about 900 Global. You guys kind of not disappeared, but were maybe off the map in the States for a while, but you're back. What's been the evolution and transition over the last few years on what 900 Global is doing, and what's the future looking like?
The future's bright, for sure. In April, a couple of years back, Bill Chrisman purchased the company and instilled a different leadership, brought Bill Supper on board, a little bit more guidance, vision from the top down. We've got 3 salesmen out in the field now. We've added David Hickman in the central region. We've added Terry Rohr in the east. Wes Malot's our vice president of sales. So the structure's coming
West
together.
Pye.
Excuse me, West Pye. Thank you, not Wes
Wait,
Malott.
when did West Malott get a
No,
shot? Yeah.
sorry. Good,
Yep.
good. Seeing if you're paying attention. Good job.
I'm awake.
Wes Pye is our vice president of sales and doing an awesome job. Putting structure together and being able to get out in the field and see people and I believe we've always had good products, but we just keep making them better. Chris Barnes coming on board. We do things as a team, whether it's ball development, whether it's planning for the future. Future's bright.
I mean, it's been a big company overseas for a long time, right? But now getting back, PBA product registered again last year, bringing Barnes on, making a good U.S. presence is probably one of the bigger changes that we're seeing.
Well, for sure. Absolutely. I mean, bringing Chris on was the smiles all around, so to speak, within the building. It's a significant financial investment to do, to be PBA product registered, to bring people of Chris and Linda's stature on board, but it's also people that we're comfortable with because we worked with them in the past,
right,
and we know what they stand for. So, no, the future is nothing but bright. So, and I see more 3G shoes being worn out here this year than in the past, so that's one of our brands, and it's shoe brand. It's growing. Beginning to have even more of a presence in the market. You have to be PBA registered.
There's what we're used to seeing from Buttriff.
Pretty incredible, isn't it?
I mean, it's a little over a year ago the first time I saw him, and as I'm watching him throw the ball, I'm thinking, how does he do that? And he's just striking. It was last year on a very tough pattern in New Mexico where nobody was doing anything. And Jacob's shooting 250, 250, 250. It's like, what's going on? And like that reaction there, he just throws it, okay. I mean, he'll turn around at 30 feet and sit down, knowing that it's just dead flush. That's the confidence that he's got and the fearlessness that, I threw it good.
Probably more amazed when it doesn't strike than, as you said, that's what he's expecting.
And he struggled a little bit this week, but he figured out a way to get inside the cut. And, now it's time for him to start making a move.
They're not all track meets. You can't run them all over. Some of them you've got to grind, and U.S. Open is definitely one of those events.
And that's what I think our veterans understand more. I mean, yes, there's a lot of young kids in the cut, but you watch them ride that emotional roller coaster. Where guys like Wes Malott and Jason Belmonte and Chris Barnes, they know it's 24 games to get here. They're going to shoot 170 somewhere in there. They know it, and just move on. Whereas some of the other players, younger players, you see them even shoot 190 and they get upset. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
On certain pairs, 190 is a really, really good game.
There are a few pairs that you could ask most of those established pros, would you take 180 and go to the next pair? And they would say absolutely. I watched Chris bowl 187 clean. That was just brutal. I mean, he picked up 2 washouts and made a 210.
Yeah, I was on 35 and 36 on the double burn there.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was one of the best games that you will ever see. And you would think, well, he's not shooting 250, but he gained so many pins by what the field was doing on that pair.
And he went through 3-4 bowling balls in a 6-frame stretch in that game, too, just trying to figure out what's going on.
Well, having a plan, Steve Jacobs out here, being able to see what's going on, be an extra set of eyes, it's huge.
In addition to Barnes and Buttriff, there's also a couple of international players here this week. Sam Cooley, who's bowling very, very well in the event. Joachim Carlson. Boy, has that kid got some power.
Oh
my goodness!
Is that just incredible? Did you have him? Did y'all get to? Was he on any of the?
He was off to our left his one game when he was loft in the gutter here. I think it was 15 and 16 maybe during that double burn. And 30 feet down the lane at 22 miles an hour.
And caught a handful of it doing it.
Yeah, shot 230s or something like that. Yeah.
230 on the double burn. You should almost give him a ring for that. I mean, that the double burn here is incredibly tough.
He struggled last night in his last block, or yesterday afternoon, not making the cut, but he's a young man. He's made a few trips over here to the States Bowl in the major events. We'll see more of Mr. Carlson.
Yes, absolutely, for sure.
And he's fun to talk to. I remember talking to him, I think it was at the Masters, and asking him, how'd you start bowling in your style? He said, well, I just kind of got a ball and I put my hand in and threw it. That was it.
It is scary, that much natural talent.
So, Dale, you've been with Global and AMF and 3G now for how long?
Since the first day. I'm very lucky and blessed to be in the position and have worked my way up with the company.
And for our viewers out there that don't know, based out of San Antonio, right? In the old Columbia factory, is that correct?
We started in the old Columbia factory, and we were in the Columbia factory for a few years, and then we actually moved to a new location, industrial park. Built a facility that was totally designed for us. So we don't have as many buildings. Things aren't as spread out. It's easier to go from the core area to the pouring area to the finishing area to the warehouse, and everything's in a systematic system that allows for an easier transition. So yes, that's all been done. We've been in there about 4 years now.
Okay.
Very, very nice.
And over here, double wide for a little bit. Dino Castillo, Cameron Weir, Anthony Simonson, Jason Belmonte, Chris Vai, who shot 279 game one, got 4 in a row here in game 3. He was the cut coming in, last man in. He's taking advantage of that and moving up very, very quick. Martin Larson, Martin Paulson, and Matt Kuba, another youngster.
Watched Cameron Weir some this week. He was to the left of some of our guys. So another great young player coming up.
Yeah, I got a ton of college experience at Robert Morris. Dental school now. He's picked up a regional, I think, and maybe did he get a world tour event or something overseas? Some big term. I don't remember what it was off the top of my head. But good kid, good head and shoulders, very talented. And we actually got him on camera with a smile yesterday, which is very, very rare. It was quick, but we caught it.
Well, he once again looked like an experienced veteran out here grinding, realizing that the 180 games were key, were going to be important.
Yeah.
And don't let it get away from you trying to shoot a big game. Get your 180, get your 190, and get on to another pair.
And that's what Matt Freiberg and I were talking about a little bit ago before you came on, is the composure that these kids have, that they get with the Team USA experience, the college experience. By the time they hit this level, they're a 5-year vet.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas the learning curve is gone, as opposed to years ago, right? I mean, you as Matt and I were just saying, hey, you're the best bowler in your area. Let's get your card, go on tour, and you get knocked around for a couple years before you have a chance to have some success. Not anymore. It's instantaneous.
Well,
for a lot of these players.
Well, bowling on the some of the tougher conditions, the sports shots and the junior gold and those type of events, it prepares them for what's out here.
Yeah, and that junior gold is just crazy. I've been the last couple of them doing some broadcasting with USBC, and I mean, there's U12 divisions where the kids are, you think they're 20-some years old, the way they throw the ball, and they're now just watching them. I watch them just kind of navigating as we watch even some of the guys here between shots and what those kids are doing. And I mean, they're like sponges. I mean, the funniest thing I remember the first year I was there, because they don't announce the patterns. Or that year, I think they weren't announcing the pattern until practice started or something, or very before they started. So they make the announcement, hey, this is, I don't know, Mexico City or something like that. And the two 10-year-old kids behind were like high-fiving, yes, I love that pattern. I'm going to go out and get this ball and this ball and this ball. And I'm going, what?
Well,
and I'm here on Google, Mexico City. What is that, you know?
They've been on Google 12 months before you, looking at all of them, asking their coaches to put this pattern out for them so they can practice on it. And that's the other thing that's exciting and wonderful is so many centers putting out tougher conditions for these young players to practice on.
Yeah, you know, and I made a comment before, everybody talks about the bowling ball technology and how it changed the game so much. The oil machine, to me, is what's changed the game tremendous. What machines can do today, because you can replicate that pattern, right? And there's even like conversions. So if you can get on the Kegel website and say, I want something like this, and I don't have a Kegel machine, but I have, a different machine. So they'll give you a conversion. Okay, do this. I have this type of oil. Okay, then tweak this a little bit to try to replicate it the best you can. Well, this is my lane surface. All right, then change this part of it. Not going to be exact, but it's going to be pretty darn close. When I oiled lanes years ago, we had the old center machines, and we made our own shims with the old plastic score sheets and paper clips and
a rubber band here or there.
Yeah, and got a mop and cleaned the lanes by hand. It's not like that anymore. I mean, we come out here and they got these lane walkers where the guy just pushes a button on lane 30, grabs a cup of coffee, and goes down lane 1. That's changed the game a lot.
It has, but and what it can do, and the consistency that it can do it, and the ability it gives a house to change the condition from incredibly scoreable to tougher. Lets all different bowlers find something that's challenging to them.
Yeah. Well, and again, years ago we didn't even talk about topography because we knew every lane wasn't the same because the machine couldn't do it. So topography was almost irrelevant because we knew things were different.
Right.
Now, because, like as you just said, they can make it identical on every single lane, and then you start seeing the topography pop up. Okay, why is this not hooking in this lane? Because we know they're the same because the machine put them down the same. So it's like fix one problem, almost create another. But for the good, because the knowledge base in today's game is just way more than what it used to be when I grew up.
Everybody's smartphone. Everybody's got the information at their fingertips.
Yeah.
And they use it. And
that's a great point example. I know a few weeks ago my nephew was bowling in a tournament back home, just a youth tournament, and struggling. And just shoot me a video. Let me see. Change balls. It was a little more. But I'm 1,000 miles away. He can make a quick video. Well, yeah, and then he shoots 220. There you go. And I know that happens with coaches a lot. Coaches don't have to follow you to every event anymore. You can do it mobile. You can do it over these different coaching apps and videos and the communication. So that's another way the game has changed, and it's going to continue to evolve.
Well, and then you just spoke about something, coaching. Oh my gosh, there's comparing today to 5 years ago, to 10 years ago, to 20 years ago. The coaches that you can reach out to now in all regions of the country, the USBC, 3 levels of coaches that they have.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, a lot more consistency in coaching, and probably not. And we were talking, I think, yesterday a little bit about it. The cookie cutter approach is gone, right? Devin Bidwell has a beautiful, classic, long, smooth, powerful style. It'd be nice to teach that to a lot of people. I can't do that, right? So why force someone to do what he does? You wouldn't teach somebody to throw the ball like Jake Buttriff. But he's very successful because his coach has been able to figure out what works best for him. And I think to us, or me, that's the difference in today's coaching. Is not, okay, take 4 steps, do this, No, let's figure out what you do good and make it better.
Well, they talk about that in school now. You take somebody that's not good at something and you keep making them try to be better and better what they're not good at. let's take what they are good at
Yeah.
and let them excel at that.
Yeah.
So we're all different. We're all blessed with different talents.
Yeah, don't put the 5'3" guy, the center, on the basketball team.
Exactly.
That just doesn't make sense. Another good young player, Pontus Anderson, plus 535 so far in this event. Did you get a chance to see the Koreans here this week?
No.
We were told, I think it was, I'm not sure if it was Chuck. I think Chuck mentioned to us is where we watched them. They're all on the same squad, and we're just kind of not knowing them all. And they all throw the ball really, really good. And he said, I think there was eight players. And Chuck said that there was 3 of them who have only been bowling less than a year.
Oh, that's...
So now I'm starting to look and say, well, which one is that? Couldn't tell. I mean, that's how good they're going to get, or they've gotten, how good they're going to be really, really quick. Because I've seen a lot of bowlers. You can tell who knows what they're doing, who's got the experience. I couldn't pick out the guy that's been bowling less than a year. There was 3 of them. That was shocking. But back to coaching, like you just said. They've got some good coaching, obviously, over there.
Good coaching, a plan, fundamentals. They know what they're doing. One of the players that I was speaking with this week as they were leaving, just we had that conversation about a little bit off on the timing and going to go see their coach, and I said it's going to take him y'all are going to go have breakfast, and then it'll take him an hour, and I would be willing to bet that he'll go back to a few little fundamentals and a few little keys, and all at once it'll all click back together.
Yeah. And that's the benefit of having a good coach and somebody that knows your game and what to do. I remember, for me, it wasn't a bowling thing a few years back, but how important coaching is. Playing golf. I'm not a good golfer, but I'm okay golfer. I can go out and have some good scores. I like to have fun. And I was running a league and played this course, for every week for 2 years, except in the winter in Michigan. We get a 3-month golf season. But, I'm hitting the ball good. I'm having a good summer. I go out one day, and I can't hit the ball from me to you. What the heck? I mean, it's just, how can it be this bad, this quick? Well, the guy that runs the course, I played with him a few times. He's the club pro there. I go in and say, come here for a minute. I'm beyond frustrated. I just shot 59 for 9 holes and had 0 chance of doing anything. We go out to the range. I swung the club 3 times. He walks out, grabs my hand, turns it like a 1/4 inch. Now hit it. Boom, dead straight. Now I'm mad. Wait a minute. But he sees it, right?
It's amazing. A minor tweak.
Yeah.
And at this level, it's the same sort of thing.
Well, and Wes Millott was talking about that on Friday, that he's been working on some feel things, just not quite feeling right with his hand, and he said, he's going to change a couple of very, very subtle things. Now he's in the mix. Simple as that. He said he just happened to come across or found a video online when he was throwing the ball good and saw, oh yeah, that's what I should be doing. And
There's
there's
a lot of video out there of him throwing the ball good.
Yeah, there was a lot
For a
of video of him throwing
long
the ball
time.
good.
There's a lot of video out there.
Yeah.
He is he's a very special player. Well, he's a Texas boy, up the street in Austin. So,
well, just up the street in Texas is 5 hours away.
wow.
So coming to the end of game number 3, we'll get some scoring updates to you as quick as we can. Watching Bidwell, Anderson, Maldonado, and Buttriff. We got Dale Garner in the booth with us for a few more minutes from 900 Global. Take the time before we go to break here, Dale, and tell us a little bit about some of the new equipment, maybe what's in the queue, and what are we going to expect to see more from 900 Global in the near future?
Well, we've got a couple of new ones hitting the streets this week. The Inception Pearl, which is our asymmetric Inception with a pearl cover stock on it, same core, same shell. But this definitely is little sharper, much sharper actually down lane.
Definitely.
The reviews on that, a lot of the staff players are using them here this week when they're on the burn, because there's enough volume that you need something that'll be clean through the front. But then when the back ends are pretty tight on some of these pairs, they're able to use them, which I was a little surprised that there would be that high of volume, but they actually need them. So that's been wonderful. And then the infrared, which is a Tour preferred ball that when Chris came on board with us, we basically said, Chris, we want your input, we value your input, and we made a line of balls for tournament bowlers basically, because they see some flatter patterns than we do in the league conditions. They see some more challenging patterns when they get to the end of these blocks, and there's a lot of hook in the front and the back ends are shut down, and just the flatness of them. So they need a few different pieces of equipment, and we wanted to be able to provide that for them. So infrared is in that line. It's definitely medium conditions, but good push and a very strong back end. So we've got another couple of winners there.
I do have one quick question while we got you. I've been wondering about this for a while now. We talk a lot about asymmetric and symmetric, right? Those are the kind of the buzzwords when we look at the course. It's always been looking at the course shape. Well, that's symmetric, it's asymmetric. The inception and the truth are the same course shape.
Yes.
But one's symmetric, one's asymmetric.
By changing the densities of that one U.
Yeah, that's something new. That's not normal. Where did that come from?
That came from our senior design engineer, Nick Cyphers. And to sit up here and try to talk about all the science and everything behind it would not be the right thing for somebody from the marketing department to do. I know exactly what it does, but it allows us to have both a asymmetric and a symmetric ball that have the same shell, and then you basically you have options there. And when one loses its angle on the back end, you can almost flip to the other one, and you've still got the same shell, you've still got the same core, and you've got the same RG contour values, which is me trying to speak scientifically, but it's what the engineers have told me.
It's interesting. I mean, that's when my inner bowling geek comes out, because I've been around the bowling industry for a long time. I was in pro shops when resin came out, and we were just like, whoa, what's going on here? I remember when the Excalibur hit the market, and it's like, that was back when, you would want your flare mark to be 1/4 inch wide, right? I mean, if you drilled a blue hammer and your flare mark was like wide, okay, I drilled it wrong. I missed something. This Excalibur comes out, and you got 4 inches of flare. Like, wow, how did I screw that drilling up? So, through the years, we see all sorts of different changes and advancements. And the asymmetric, symmetric with the truth and inception was kind of one of those things. Like, wait a minute, that's different. And understanding it is pretty neat. And I think Radical's doing something similar right now with their new ball. Same ball, same core, but the way you drill it, it's symmetric and asymmetric. So it's interesting for me, and I think a lot of people out there to see, is we talked about the advancement technology, with the machine, oil machine and coaching, but that's another one too. The science behind these bowling balls, it's a lot different than what it used to be as well.
Well, I guess now I'm going to kind of admit that I'm old. And one of the things that I was told in the early 2000s by some of the ball designers that came before us, 2 days worth of math, basically to write out the formulas to be able to build a prototype 15-pound ball. And then if there was a mistake, going back and finding it and all of that. And then to turn around and say, okay, well, we've got it, we like it, now we need 16 and 14 in another 2 days. And this is just to build a test ball, because you don't know when you build it that you're hitting a home run, right, or you're designing what you like. And so that was one of the things that held back. And as computers got more powerful and the software for engineers, Nick can design literally his shapes and he knows his densities and things. He can do this, within an hour now to sit down and lay these things out. So that's a lot of the change, and that's in all industries. Your golf that you were talking about, I'm sure the ability that they have now with the faces and the thicknesses and the things that they can manipulate. So it's all industries. Compare when you get on a plane to fly, look in the cockpit. Look at what you see in that cockpit today compared to what you saw in 1970.
There's a lot of buttons in there.
There's a lot of buttons in there. There's a lot of computers in there.
Yeah.
Well, what was it they said that the lunar module landed, and it basically, our smartphones are hundreds of times more powerful than the computers that were in that.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Like 78 gigabytes, I think, is
Yeah.
what they said was in the lunar module. I mean, I don't know that 78 gigabytes will power up one of our smartphones today.
No, I agree. Yeah, it's interesting to see how the advancements have changed. So, we're just going to keep adapting here in the bowling world with those changes, and it's fun to watch, and I like seeing those kinds of things. And we appreciate your time, Dale. We know you've got a lot of work to do. We've had the last half hour or so talking with Dale Garner from 900 Global, and we're going to take a short break, come back with scores. Thank you, sir. Enjoy your time here at the Open.
Thank you very much. I
And
appreciate
we'll
it.
Get a chance to talk to you again sometime. 3-game scoring update here this morning or afternoon if you're on the East Coast. Thanks for tuning in. Here at the 2016 U.S. Open, Craig Elliott on extra frame from the South Point Bowling Plaza. Francois Lavoie is our leader at plus 757. Marshall Kent plus 716. 762 out of the gate, the first 3 for Lavoie. 753 for Marshall. 2 nice scores. And they're 1 and 2 right now in the standings. Martin Larson, Anthony Simonson, Sean Maldonado, Brad Miller, Pontus Anderson, Sam Cooley, John Zerbinski, and Bill O'Neill round out the top 10. Jump down here and take a look at our 24th spot. Currently, Cameron Doyle is the number at plus 417. We're in game 4, 4 more games to go. Walter Ray Williams Jr., who is on camera right now, 732 his first 3. Walter bowling well today. This is the time he turns it on. Chris Weiss, 766, making the big move, came in at 57th position, last man in. He jumped 30 spots in 3 games. And now he's only 20 off that cut. Scores are updated. PBA.com, click on the link. It'll take you to the PDF file provided to us by the USBC, and you can follow along with all your favorite bowlers. DJ Archer, Sean Rash, Greg Thomas, Walter Ray Williams Jr. on our left of the double wide coverage. Paul Moore, Cameron Doyle, Anthony Pepe to our right. So remember that number right now. 24th position, plus 417, a 215 average. Keep that average the same. Let's add 75 to it, 5 times 15. So we're talking 500 over-ish. The scoring pace kind of stays where it is, maybe that magic number. So the guys that are 150 or so back, it's time to make a move. Cameron Doyle with his first strike of game number 4. And he is the number right now at plus 417. Matt Freiberg scores are, as we kind of thought early on, higher today. A lot of 730s and 40s and 50s the first 3, and that's not something we've seen for the majority of this event.
No, certainly not on the fresh. Maybe on the burn squad, you know, the second round of the day, each day was probably one of the higher scoring rounds. But as we mentioned earlier, a lot of these guys playing on top of each other. Some guys using urethane, most guys not using urethane, using some strong equipment with some surface. So building a little bit of a wall to the right, and there's still a little bit of hold up the lane. So guys are able to use some stronger equipment if they want to. They're able to use a little bit of weaker equipment if they want to, just speed sensitive. So based on their rev rate, if they want to throw it fast, they're going to use something a little bit stronger. So it'll hook when they get it to the right. If they want to throw a little bit slower, they can use something a little bit weaker and play the hold that way. So definitely not surprising that the scores are a little bit higher than we have seen, just based on most of the guys playing the same part of the lane, so they're not destroying their own hold right now. They're all using it to their advantage.
Well, and also there's a reason they're in the top 57. These are the players who are throwing the ball good and know where to play the lanes, and playing them kind of the same as you just mentioned makes things a little bit easier.
Yeah, we're going to start seeing some separation here as far as where guys are playing and also scores.
And a little easier job for the ball reps today, not having to scout near as far ahead, knowing that most pairs are being played the same. And as we talk about ball reps, we got another guest with us. 900 Global on 3G, Corey Hoffman. Good afternoon, sir.
How are we doing, guys?
We're doing great. Thank you, Corey. It's always great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Corey, we were talking a little bit before we got on. You've been pretty busy doing some traveling with your role with the company, and sounds like the voice may be taking a little toll. You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I don't know
Good.
why it's a little raspy, but I cough a little bit. I don't know. At least it works.
That's always a good thing.
Yep. There has been times where I open my mouth and nothing happens.
And that's sometimes a good thing as well.
It is. It is.
We were just talking to Dale Garner earlier about a lot of the 900 Global stuff, some new equipment out there, but you're here to talk a little bit about 3G.
Yes,
What's up with the new shoes?
Yes, I am. We got our 3G shoes. One of the most versatile shoes out. Got the cleat system on them. Got the, we have a, how you want to call it, like a peg in the heel that adds more stability on the slide. I've seen a few times where guys have went up there to slide and their heel will actually pop off.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
And we have that extra little peg in there that locks our heel in. And just another added feature that works really well for our shoes. I'm really excited about the bowling season this year, especially with 900 Global. I mean, the stuff that we have is just unbelievable. You know, normally when new balls come out, you know, you get 3 new balls and a couple are okay. One's really good. And I'll tell you what, for us, these balls are just unbelievable. I go around and do demos. I love doing demos. I have a really phenomenal demo system. And the response I get is just off the chart. You know, I got 4 different balls, 3 different layouts for these guys to try. So I really get to reach out to the guys that come up the back of the ball or guys that come have a lot of rotation come up the side of the ball. And I can just turn around, pick up the ball. Here you go, try this. And it's really making a huge difference for these guys to see shape and reaction to the back end. And so with that, I'm just scheduled. I got to do demos. That's why I wasn't there this week. Came in today. Today's my day off, but I want to come out and watch the U.S. Open. I mean, this is the epitome of bowling right here. It's unfortunate I didn't get to see over the weekend where guys were lofting the gutter caps. I was following on the internet, but when you're not there in the building and you don't get to see it firsthand, it's unbelievable. I mean, these guys are so talented, so talented. I remember the guys from the earlier generation, you know, 50s and 60s, and you hear them talk about how when they went out on tour, it was actually easier for them to bowl on tour than it was when they went home. You know, they would have the lanes so-called waxed up or greased up or whatever, but, you know, they set the ball on the track, and it was, you know, they all played the same area, and they created that groove there. And then they'd go home, and it's just night and day. Well, it's not that case anymore. Now you come out here, and I mean, you don't get a chance to really practice on this stuff. So it's tough to hone your game in. And then when you go home, you don't get the lane play. I mean, these guys, they're hitting 7-8-9 at 42 feet. All of them are hitting 7-8-9. And that really plays havoc on your break point. So when you're at home bowling in your leagues and you know, practicing or whatever, you don't get those 30 balls going to that one area to create that back-end reaction, so you know how to make your adjustments, you know how to set your equipment up, you know what to do. It's totally different. So you know, to watch these guys, it's unbelievable. It really is.
So saying all that, what's the best way to attack something like this here this week? And we see Greg Thomas, another global staffer. I think he's throwing the Ninja right now. Greg's having some good success here this week.
Yeah, he is. He has a lot of rotation, not much tilt, and he just, you know, really, he's looking for that sparky spot at 40 foot. And once he sees his transitional roll, then he knows what to fit in there. Weber does the same thing. He's looking for that spot down there that, you know, if he sees it, he sees that shape, he will beat you to death. Greg is the same way. once he sees it. Greg has more rotation than Weber. I mean, you can see Greg there.
Greg has more rotation than most players out on this tour.
I mean, anymore, Greg would be throwing his ball back at you.
Right.
I mean, he's right there at the edge of 90 degrees. And with that, I mean, his ball feeds. I call it free push. His ball does not see the lane. So when it starts getting the wet, dry, or the cliff conditions, his ball will not react to that like a lot of these other guys. Guys that come up the back of the ball and they see cliff, it's just going to be havoc, night and day, wet, dry, and they just want to pull their head out.
And unfortunately, Pete Weber was not able to bowl due to injury, but it would have been interesting to see him attack this double burn the way he can just get the ball to do what you said. Front doesn't matter.
Front doesn't matter.
We had all these young kids lofting the cap. Pete wouldn't have been there.
No.
Because the way he can just float that ball down lane, and I think he would have really, really bowled well on that squad.
I do too. I really do too. I talked to Greg earlier, and he was upset about yesterday. He said he played left too early, and it played havoc on his ball, coming in the pocket. He's leaving some 8-10s, and he was really frustrated with that. But Greg, he's always a strong U.S. Open player. He made the Cashers run last year and actually had a run at making top 24. Just fell a little short.
Well, he's 104 off the number right now, so he's going to have to do a little bit of work here this last half of the block.
Yep. But once sorry about that. Once the that spot down there opens up, he'll be able to capitalize off it. It'll manifest for him to where he can really work that spot.
I don't know if you guys caught that, but that was about as close as we're ever going to see Walter Ray to missing a 10-pin. He actually only hit half of a 10-pin instead of dead in the face.
You see Paul Moore there. If this score is right, I think he shot 140 the previous game.
Oh, did he drop back that far? Let's see where he was at.
Pretty sure he was plus 401
scores
going into this last game.
He was plus 345 after 3. So that is correct. Scores of 213, 259, 171 game 3.
So he was not 401 over at any point. Right here. Yep.
Oh, 144.
Yep,
Oh, I'm sorry.
144.
I looked at Dom scores. Yes, you're correct. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay, Greg.
First mistake of the day. Honest.
2 first names, not sure about it.
And Paul Moore getting those pins back. Just that open frame in the 9th with the split. Still shooting 250s. That'll erase that 144. Even it out a little bit.
See DJ Archer down there sporting some 3G shoes. Those are white and silver ones. Unfortunately, last year we discontinued those. Now we got the all black and the.
Oh, way to tease us. Everybody out there that wanted to get those DJ Archer shoes, now they can't.
Yep.
Thanks, Corey.
Can't get them. Those are limited editions. I actually took a pair of the 3G shoes, and I wear them as everyday shoes. That's how they're really comfortable.
You just like put some rubber soles on the bottom of them? Or?
Well, you got the right and left, and with the push-offs are rubber. So I just took a right shoe, took a left shoe, and there we go. Good to go. It's funny, I'll be doing my demos, and I'll be wearing my 3G shoes, and I'll go outside, and wait, you got your bowling shoes on.
Nope, no I don't.
Nope. These are my everyday shoes. And I'll tell you what, I wear them all the time, and they're holding up. I've had other companies in the past, and they didn't hold up very long. So I figured, what's a better test? Let's put him on wear him as everyday shoes, not just bowling. I've had him for a good year now.
So after 3 of that number for 24th is plus 417. Cameron Doyle a little bit behind it. Now Pepe, Moore, DJ Archer, and Walter Ray are the only guys ahead of that number currently. And just kind of bumping that out with that 215 average, that's going to be right around 500 at the end of the block in that 24th spot, give or take a few pins. Knowing that coming in, Corey, if you got 4 to go, you're 100 back, you got to try something different. What is there out there that somebody can do to try to make up 100 pins on the field to make that jump?
Obviously, it's your entry angle. How are you going to, better that position? One of my favorites. I know it's a little against the veterans, but I'd say drop down 2 balls and move a little right, because the oil's there. It's your back. It's your break point that you're fighting. Guys are getting to the pocket. They just can't get the carry. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing it all the time, and it's mainly because the rotation isn't enough. And if your rotation is not enough, what is the most powerful part of your ball? It's your ball speed. And it's going to pull your ball away from pocket. And that's where your 2-pin and friends come from. So if you're able to move right.
Don't give the pocket away.
Don't give it away. A lot of these guys, they don't see that. And that's one of the new suggestions that I've made in the last year, and I've had really good success. They don't think about balling down and moving right. They think that they have to chase the oil all the way. Man, go 10 boards. As soon as you get to the 10, be a typewriter and just go right back.
Well, but that's how we all grew up, right? Move left, move left, move left, move left.
That's it.
That's just what we all learned. So it's
chase the oil, chase the oil.
And even now that we might know we can do that, that's not your first thought, because it's just it's kind of ingrained. Move left.
Right. I see a change in the game right now, and just to back that up, what's a new lever we're starting to see? The solid 6. That's the one you shake your head going, now how'd that happen?
Right.
Before it was the 2-pin and friends. We never saw that before. Now we see that every day. We see that more in the 10-pin. And now you got this 6-pin.
Is that all just entry angle?
All entry angle. That's how dynamic these balls are getting, and they're getting strong. If we look at the evolution of the game, the 2 things that are changing on a constant basis is the oil and the cover stock. They come out with an oil, they come out with the cover stock, and it's just never ending. What doesn't change is the lane. These lanes are 20 years old. That friction didn't change. But the friction on the cover stock, and we don't know what it is. We can look at absorption rate, but we don't know the actual friction.
Right.
And if we knew that, we could really dial this game in. I mean, that's a variable that is hidden that we really can't attack. I really give it to these ball designers, because they have to match up the right cover to the right core. You just can't go and say, oh, we're going to take this and this, put it together, here you go. I mean, if that friction is too high, your ball can be too strong. We call that ahead of its time.
Well, Dale Garn and I were just talking about that. A couple big changes on a couple new pieces. One from Global, with the Inception and the Truth. Same shape core, but one's symmetric, one's asymmetric by changing the density of the disc.
Yep.
That hasn't been done before. That's something different. So that's gonna so people will learn from that and see what's next. We're also saying I think it's a new radical ball. You take the same ball, but depending on how you drill, where you put the pin, it's symmetric or asymmetric. That's something that's not normal and new. So there's a lot of changes and things like that we're seeing right now that a year or 2 from now is just going to be the next advancement.
Yeah, dual
in
density
the ball
cores.
technology.
Very interesting.
Very, very interesting. A lot of smart people out there that are coming up with this stuff, and it's pretty cool to see it.
Yes, it is.
With the ball going down the lane, and I mean, you've been doing this stuff for years. I know you like it as well as I do. You want to, hey, give me. I want to see what that ball's going to do, just because it's something different. Kind of play with it.
Very much so. I mean, I get excited with my demos because, like I said, I got 4 different balls and I got different shapes and I have different people. So I get to see a lot of different roles in the equipment going down the lane, which gives me, kind of an advantage because now when I come to this here, it's like, well, I know how this ball rolls. I know what the back end shape is and I can really fit it in there. Just got to get these guys to trust it. Because some of the things you see is not, what are you looking at? What are you talking about?
It's amazing how everybody sees the lane and what their ball's doing different than the person standing right next to them.
Yep. I know when I bowl, I have a hard time seeing the first 20, and I don't know how Duke does it. And Chris Barnes can see his. And
I think those guys know so much about what's going on at 30 feet that they can deduce what's going on in the first 15 feet because they clearly can't see it. That's where the feel comes into play, but also knowing what's actually happening.
Right.
Just before the back of the pattern, then you can figure out what your ball was doing in the first 15 feet of the lane.
Well, so many times there's that hook in the front that, that normally we don't see that hook.
Right, can't see it.
Because, as a rep, you're standing back there, we're not up on the line. We can see it. He's like, wow, did you see that? Wow, oh, it hooked twice. Sometimes you'll see the ball hook 3 times.
Well, seems like it hooks 3 times.
It reads 3 times. How's that? It's nice to see Chris bowling well again.
It's the end of game 4. Looking from our vantage point, some other scores. E.J. Tackett down on the low end, 237. Tomas Larson, 232. Arturo Quintero, 234. So those guys that are 100 back, 230s is not making up pins on the field today. You got to have those 250s and 260s. Palermo, 235. Barnes, 236.
Yeah, Barnes can shoot 246 this game.
Oh, he's got one more
He
ball to
has
go.
236 right now.
Didn't look far enough around the monitor there.
And he's at plus 479 going into this game. So he's going to be about 520 over with a few to play.
So far, the big number I see is 781 Marshall Kent. Just shot 265.
Yeah, plus 781. 270, 260 the last 2 games.
So he's 218 over through 4 today.
I was given a stat. I was given a stat last night by the one and only Michael Marquez. Said that he read an article that stated Marshall Kent's first sanctioned 800 was 7 months ago. I'm pretty sure he shot 800 next to me this week.
He's definitely been on fire the last 2 days, last 48 hours here. And, trying to take over this tournament.
I heard a rumor that he uses the Sargister grip. Of course, that is the conventional ring finger with the fingertip middle finger as the right-hander. Your right finger is conventional and your left finger is fingertip. Robert Smith used that, Mike Fagan. I used it for a while when I first came on tour. I used the Sargister grip. It's meant to cut your rev rate down. Your ring finger, of course, is your hit finger. So the more of your finger that's in the ball, the less rev rate you're going to get and the more rotation you're going to get. I think that's part of the reason why Marshall Kent's ball is hooking so much down lane because of that grip. Love to be able to take a look at that grip, see
I guess I
exactly
never looked
what
that
that
close.
looks
Can you
like for
imagine
him.
if he's cut down on his rev rate, what it is with the full grip?
Right. Most of the guys that use Sargista, even when they go to Sargista and they wind up using it on a more permanent basis, the rev rate starts to sneak back up anyway. It'll be cut down at first, and it becomes more controlled. Then you see a different motion because of the rotation change as well. And then once you get comfortable with it, you get quicker. You can always get quicker and quicker and quicker at the release point when you're in proper time and leverage when you're that good.
It's into game 4. That means game 5 is next. Matt Freiberg, Craig Elliott, Corey Hoffman here talking about 3G at the 2016 U.S. Open. Corey, we got you for a couple more minutes. What else you want to educate us on the shoes and some of the global stuff and what to expect in the future?
I'm at a loss for words.
That's never happened before.
No, I guess it's one of those times where I open my mouth and nothing comes out. No, with 3G, kangaroo leather, super soft, wear and go. Most versatile shoe. Got the cleat system, got the ripple, got the red heel. I mean, it's just overall superior in the comfort. I mean, really, really good shoe. And then step down from that is our Sport Ultras. And those are actually a deerskin leather. Again, soft, really durable. The only thing that doesn't come with is the cleat system, which you can always buy that extra. But, and then out of that, we got the kicks. Kicks are killing them out there, Nice entry shoe, has a good arch in them. You find those in all the ball bag and shoe packages. Kicks are doing really well. Step out from there would be our sneaks. There's more of a sneaker type. And then last but not least, the Classic Pro, which is a good $100 shoe that has an interchangeable sole. So for the people that don't want to spend a couple hundred, they can just get 100 and just spend and get that one, which has interchangeable.
So our viewers can get out there and get on the website, check out the different things, find a local pro shop that carries that stuff, and get some shoes.
Yep, hit the website. You get to see it all there. And that way you can see the balls too. But I really appreciate your time. I'll send a shout out to Brad Hill. Thank you very much, or Brian Hill. And then also my boy Eric Flanders. He sent me a little text congratulating me on extra frame. So
We'll make you famous.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Thanks, Corey. Always a pleasure. We'll be back here with some scoring updates. Enjoy Game 5.
Thank you, guys.
Matt Freiberg, Craig Elliott back here with Game 5. Cashier's round qualifying. Got to get to that top 24 to get additional bowling here in this event. And leader, 1,018 for 4 on the U.S. Open. Marshall Kent. What in the heck is that kid doing?
He's certainly sawing some wood down. That's one thing he's doing. He's getting his ball to hook a lot down the lane. Even on the fresh, he was using a really strong ball, and just creating a lot of angle down lane. More than most of the other players. His rev rate is certainly high, even considering all the two-handers that are out here. His rev rate's still probably close to 450 or something like that, maybe a little higher. And his ball speed, at least for this morning block, is probably about an average speed for him, around 18 miles an hour. So he's not overthrowing it, but his rev rate is allowing the ball to pick up a lot down lane.
Plus 781 right now for Kent. Francois Lavoie plus 766 in second. Anthony Simonson plus 708. Martin Larson, Sean Maldonado, Pontus Anderson, Arturo Quintero, EJ Tackett, Chris Barnes, and Walter Ray Williams Jr., the Wiley veteran, in the top 10 now, working his way up. 957 on the block. Sneak on down to that 24th spot. Now Brandon Novak, plus 404. Dropped just a touch, 214 average, so we dropped a little bit in that 24 spot average, but still going to be 470s, right? Pace, yeah. Seeing if the scoring pace stays where it is, so just kind of a target for the guys to have to hit with 4 to go. On the outside looking in right now, Chris Prather, Paul Moore. And Paul Moore, we just talked about, went 144 game 3, 256.
So he
evened it out.
Even the last 2 games with a 140.
And 200 game 1, so that's just even for 3.
Right, or he's even with a 250, however you want to look at it.
Andrew Kane, Cameron Doyle, Chris Vi, Darren Tang, Sean Rash on the outside looking in right now.
Yeah, Sean Rash with a little bit of a struggle in that previous game on 35-6. One of the pairs that we have noticed to be one of the more difficult pairs, if not legitimately the most difficult pair in the house, 35-6. That is the pair that Sean Rash just came off of. He had 1 or 2 strikes, I think, that game. He made a 3-4 combination split, and you just saw, as you saw Brett Angelo shoot the 3-4-10 just there and go right in between the 3-10.
Just looking through the scores here, some of the guys we talked about. There's Alex Cavaniero. He's 757. He's minus on the day. A little surprise there.
A little bit, yes. Fortunately for Alex, he's not out here that much, so this is definitely a good showing for him. I would imagine that if he has a big couple of games here to back up his performance and get out of here with, a really good finish, I would think emotionally he's gonna take a lot of positive out of this week, regardless of how he finishes, right. But especially if he gets some big games here late. And I know for a fact we'll see him again on Extra Frame somewhere along the lines.
And maybe the bigger surprise looking at the scores, Jake Buttriff, only plus 17 on the block and 54th. He's got a ton of work to do if he's going to make that cut. And I mean, his confidence in this building is going to be pretty darn good with what he did here last week. Different pattern, different event, but still, he's got to have confidence here. And with the year he's having, not having a Jacob Buttriff-esque block right now.
Yeah, you would think that if you're in a bowling center, regardless of pattern, when your ball strikes that much, that your ball does something through the pins, through these racks that other people's balls don't do. Right. And that has to be a confidence builder, breeder, for sure.
And those are the scores. Check them out, pba.com. Follow along with your favorite player as we continue on here in game number 5. Wes Malat gets half of that 2-4-8-10. The camera doesn't really show how big a guy he is. I mean, I'm 6'3" and a big guy, but the first time I saw Wes, I looked up and said, "Whoa,
Yeah.
that's a big man right there."
Yeah,
I mean,
he is.
He's all of 6'4" and a big guy.
Yeah, for sure, no doubt. He's got a couple of young kids as well, and I'm pretty sure his oldest boy, who's just a teenager. I think he was just kind of in high school, about in high school now.
Jordan.
He's a big kid too. I remember when he was just a little kid. He was not only young but little.
He's bigger than you.
Oh yeah, I'm just barely about 6 feet would be my guess. 5'11" and some change there. And yeah, I spoke to Wes and asked him how the family was doing, and he said, "Well, my son used to be afraid of you, and now he's larger than you." So.
And a heck of a bowler and heck of a baseball player as well, Jordan Malott. We've seen him on Junior Gold broadcast a couple times. Top 8 finish 2 years ago. Another good
Very
finish
nice,
this year.
very nice. Yeah, it's gonna be hard to live up to your dad a little bit there if he wants to continue with bowling. I know Eugene McCune's son is a really good, outstanding baseball player as well. And I'm just assuming that they're about the same age as well. Eugene's son and Wes Malott's kid. I would think they're around the same
I think
age.
Jordan's maybe 14. So Eugene's boy's in high school now, I think, isn't he? Or maybe?
I would think
pretty
so.
Close, yeah, within a few years. And that's probably a common theme is the bowlers out here. Yes, they've chosen this as their profession, but they've all been athletic through the years. I mean, Chris Barnes was what I've heard, a heck of a high school basketball player.
Yeah, he was also a pretty good putter.
Yeah. I wonder if he's going to get out here when they build that new putting stadium here in Vegas. Those big events. Have you seen any or heard any more about that?
I've seen a little bit out here. I've seen some commercials. I'm very interested in it. I love to consume my time with golf, so I think I might try that where they have that putting contest.
Yeah, World
out
Series
here.
of Putting. I think.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Definitely going to go spectate for sure. If not participate, at least try to participate or something. But yeah, I know Chris Barnes made that miniature golf show, putt show back when he was I think he was like a freshman in college or a senior in high school or something like that.
Yeah, very young.
And he was competing against the best miniature golf putters in the world, I think, at the time. So I've never actually played a round of golf with Chris Barnes, but I know he's a good golfer. Of course, a lot of the guys out here are pretty good. E.J. Tackett, like scratch golfer. Ronnie Russell, same.
The story is EJ turned down a D1 golf scholarship to bowl. He was that good.
I remember speaking with EJ about the decision to play golf or the decision to bowl, and he definitely chose bowling, figured that it was the better opportunity for him to make a living. And he said that he's very satisfied with his choice. He loves to bowl. He thinks he could be one of the best bowlers in the world. So unless if you have the option to choose one or the other, you would think you would go with the one that for sure that you would be considered one of the best in the world at, regardless of, the amount of money that you can or cannot make.
Well, and that's the athlete mentality. You want to be the best, right? So,
right.
Yeah, if you're going to make a choice, you want to pick the sport where you're going to be the best at it. You don't want to, go out there on whatever sport it is, let's use golf and just be, the middle of the road guy.
Right.
It's not going to feel good inside when you're doing that.
For sure. Yeah, we had Bob Learn Jr. in the booth last night. Jeff Goodger and I were speaking with him, and during our conversation, Jeff Goodger mentioned, supremacy. And when you talk about that, it's regardless of what you get paid. When you want to be the best at something and you want to be considered the best, especially by your peers, it comes down to a lot more than just dollars at that point.
And Bob Learn, he's a guy that went through that in his career. There was a time when he was just flat dominant.
Right.
It's been a little over 20 years ago. He put on that show in Erie.
People still talk about that.
Oh, absolutely.
We touch it sometimes on Extra Frame, but there are conversations I have with bowlers, and that'll be one of the go-to conversations is Erie. In the 90s.
I think it was April 6, 1996 was the date, and just incredible run.
I was
he put on
9 years old.
But you remember it.
Yes, I do. I I was 9. I actually had that was my first bowling experience. I was 9 years old. I had a bowling birthday party.
There's moments in bowling that we just don't forget. Petraglia shooting 300 on TV back about the same time in the early mid-90s. Of course, Bob Learn. There's always some of those moments that just never go away. The first time you saw Mark Roth.
And was it against Johnny Petraglia Jr. when Bob Learn was doing that?
I think.
Well, they definitely had a show where they were striking a whole lot.
I think Johnny. Bob and I had this talk back at the Villages, which was right around the 20th anniversary, and he remembers obviously much better than I do. And I think Johnny was one of the players that he went through. And remember, that was back before scores were like today. I mean, that's what made it even better. There was 800s, but not what he did.
Right.
On TV,
especially not on TV.
That, in his hometown, and an atmosphere where their place was just electric.
Yeah, you would think that it would be difficult to remember. If you throw that many strikes and when you're locked in like that, there are so many things that get canceled out that are going on around you. I would think that it would be difficult to recall exactly what was going on. I've had a couple of blocks in my time where I've thrown a lot of strikes, and I have a difficult time recalling, what pairs they were on and exactly what moves I was making and everything. But it just seemed like it was so easy. You don't really have vivid memories like you would if you were bowling terribly.
It's amazing what your brain does and doesn't remember. And luckily, we have wives that remind us what we don't remember.
Right.
But I remember seeing an interview with Jay Leno's show, talking about selective memory type things, and why do you remember certain things or whatever. He's talking to Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy obviously has lost a brain cell or two through the years, right? No secret. But Leno was making the comment to Ozzy about the first time he saw him. He says, "Yeah, I saw you back in L.A. in 1971," and immediately Ozzy said, "Yeah, it was at this place, and I was opening or playing with these people," and Jay's like, "Yeah, how do you remember that?"
Right.
But there's just certain things you remember, right? For obviously that stood out, and and Ozzy even said, "I don't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, but I remember that." It kind of the whole correlation there at the top of his game, doing something he loves, right? Those are the things you remember. And it's just interesting to see and hear stories like that. And obviously Bob remembers that vividly, as well he should. A little short break now between games 5 and 6 as we wait for our next group to get to our double wide pair as Dave Watka finishes up. You can follow that group for the rest of the block. Barrett, Watka, and Blanchard on XF2 with Phil Brylow. Back with game 6 next. And we're continuing on here with our coverage of the 2016 U.S. Open. Live from South Point, game number 6. It's going to start getting a little dicey now for people trying to get in that number and people trying to hold on to their spots. Double wide coverage here. Andrew Anderson, Rhino Page, Jeff Evans, A.J. Chapman, Thomas Larson, E.J. Tackett, and Anthony Lavery-Spar. Don't have the official number right now, but I'm going to say Evans, Anderson, and Anthony Lavery all need to pick up 150 pins over these next 3 games. That means they got to shoot 750, and it's out there. But you also need to hope the people ahead of you don't do the same thing.
Yeah, it
even
certainly
if to catch them.
It certainly was out there. I would think that right about now is a time where the transition is going to get really tough pair to pair, even more so than early. A lot of guys having some bowling balls going a little bit too forward. Might be a little bit of an overreaction in the front part of the lane. So, somebody like a Ronnie Russell is going to be way left of it. Belmonte is going to be way left of it. But, Lavery-Spar, he's not going to try and I don't think he's going to move in and start trying to hook it too much. I think he kind of sees the writing on the wall, and he's just trying to stay comfortable and make some decent shots here and know he had a really good U.S. Open. And you can see Thomas Larson here with a very difficult spare at the moment, the old 5-8. It was a good shot, just a little bit forward. That's what we were talking about. See that there. Get it a little left and the ball can't hold its line. Get it a little bit right and the ball's going, feels like it's going 60 feet. Of course it is hooking. It's just hooking too soon and then the ball has no energy left down lane. And that's how you leave that spare in the first place. And I think he's going to try and find a ball rep to see if they have an idea or to confirm his idea. Probably more like it.
So this is Cash's Run coverage, game number 6. The top 57 competitors after 24 games of qualifying, trying to get into that top 24 for additional match play starting this afternoon. Be myself, Craig Elliott, along with Jeff Goodger and Marshall Holman on the match play call this evening. Matt Freiberg back tomorrow morning with another round of match play, and then Marshall and I again tomorrow night. And tomorrow, for all you fans out there, please tell your friends that there's a free day of coverage live on Extra Frame. A free day pass for people to get out here and see the best bowlers in the world competing for a major title here at the U.S. Open. Record times, record numbers for Extra Frame subscribers, viewers. It's a great time to be a fan. A lot of stuff coming up. Obviously, we've been here for over a week with the Las Vegas Open, the team event, the draft. Now we've got U.S. Open. A couple of weeks from now, we're going to be in Reno for World Series of Bowling 8. 2 weeks of all sorts of bowling action. Matt Freiberg, can you believe how much that World Series has grown? I mean, the first year we came on, that's pretty cool. And it's just now it's a world event. I mean, I heard Frank Zhao is bringing over 8 bowlers from China to bowl that event.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the better ideas that has taken off over the last decade. Having a World Series of Bowling is a great concept. Getting a lot of bowling done in one place. Keeping expenses down for everybody, making it easier to get in and out of. And bowling multiple events without having to travel is always easier on the mind and the body.
And it always seems to be exciting. I mean, we've seen now through 7 different years of it. We were just talking before this last break about memorable moments, and it seems like every year there's something that comes out of the World Series that it's one of those memorable moments. And some new faces. I mean, it's been a springboard for a lot of players. Get into the World Series, have a good run. Maybe not win a title, but have a good run and parlay that into a good season after that. So it is a chance for bowlers to get out, as you said, bowl a lot of events in a short period of time, but also get a ton of experience and make some money. So World Series of Bowling 8 coming up from the National Bowling Stadium in Reno. Just one of several events covered live in Extra Frame as we get ready for the 2017 season of the PBA Tour. The PWBA Tour coming up. We're going to have full coverage on that. PBA 50 Tour live on Extra Frame. 3 consecutive majors, the Players' Championship, the TOC, and the Masters through the month of February. We talked a lot this week about all the games these competitors are bowling here at the Open. How many games is that going to be for 3 weeks of majors?
A lot.
I don't, 150 plus games.
I was just going to guess about 150.
Yeah.
That was the number I was going to guess.
Plus practice and all the other stuff, and the guys make the show. So tons of bowling, all live on Extra Frame. We appreciate everybody for supporting it, being fans. But don't forget tomorrow, tell all your friends, get it out there on social media, get it on PBA.com, the PBA Twitter feeds. Check out Facebook, all sorts of different stuff happening out there, and share it and help us promote, grow the sport, and grow the PBA. And continue to watch. We have a lot more coverage coming here over these next couple days, and this tournament will end with live CBS Sports coverage, I believe 8 p.m. Wednesday night. I don't know. Unfortunately, I'll be in the air heading home during the show. Are you gonna come down and watch it live?
I'm actually going to be working. I just got word that I will be working the TV show in the booth with Marshall Holman and Dave Ryan off to the side there, doing a little bit of scoring for those guys in the booth. So, if Marshall Holman announces the wrong score, that one's on me. So I'll be keeping score for him in the booth.
Well, it's a good thing we got automatic scores here.
Yeah.
We'll blame the computer.
That's true.
No pressure, though.
No,
We're going to be watching now.
I don't feel pressure. Maybe a little grip pressure, but that's about it.
Jump over to single wide a little bit. First time I've seen this group today. Quintero, Lawrence, Palermo, and Barnes. Another guy I'm surprised isn't having a better day, Aaron Lawrence. I've seen him ball a lot. I always kind of thought he liked the fresh, but he wasn't feeling comfortable. And he could play straight, but still just kind of even on the day.
Yeah, I watched him bowl quite a bit lately, and it just seems like he's playing the proper part of the lane based on his speed and rev rate, but maybe his ball surfaces aren't exactly aggressive enough. I think that when he's using shine, it's just they're kind of lane shine, not really the high shine on the ball spinner. And when he's using surface, it looks like they're kind of just done by hand. It doesn't look like they're done aggressively on the ball spinner. So I think that that's a little bit of what's been going on with him. But he's still able to get the job done and make this cut. I mean, he's still a great shot maker and a great spare shooter.
Yeah, we just talked about bowling a lot of games in February there with all the majors. That's a kid, Aaron Lawrence. When he gets done bowling, he has practices. I mean, I watched him practice for like days at a time, it seems like, back home. And he loves the sport. Great college career. Made a TV show in Wisconsin a few years back, still in college. Former Collegiate Player of the Year. Won that singles event, I think, about 4 years ago. And now he is out here trying to win his first title.
Yeah, he's not a bowler that usually looks for too much motion out of his ball, which is why he's always in contention when the lanes are a little bit tougher.
His game has definitely evolved and grown a lot in the last few years, though. I mean, he was always pretty much a dead straight player, and now we saw him last night getting in front of the ball return with good roll, and he really understands what's happening out there.
Yeah, as most of these newcomers, if you will, to the tour, they have quite a few people around them that are either a fixture on tour or ball reps that have been out here. And it seems like it's easier to come out on tour now than it ever has been because of the intelligent aspect of it. There are so many intelligent people that are working on this tour right now that the transition period from rookie to potential player of the year, that time frame is just being squished down.
It's a lot shorter than what it used to be.
Yeah.
It's a great time to be a fan of the PBA Tour. This is truly a world tour. We see Oscar Palermo, Arturo Quintero, a great group of international bowlers here at this event. Of course, we'll see them all at the World Series of Bowling 8. On top of that, you're not just trying to beat the best in the States anymore. You're trying to beat the best in the world. And I think a lot of that's, maybe some of that is the Belmo effect. He came over here and I mean, it took him a couple years, though, like we were just saying. Today, the learning curve is shorter. And the road to success seems shorter, but people don't realize Belmo was coming over here for quite a while, bowling some of the bigger money events, and he didn't just show up and start winning. He spent a lot of time working on his game, and now he's arguably one of the best in the world.
Yeah,
and
he
people
may
have
work
followed
harder now.
that. I mean, we're seeing more people now coming over and bowling the tour here. Guys like Oscu, Stu Williams, guys that we'd always heard of, but never really saw him here. And even a little bit on what we were talking about with EJ making a decision to play a sport where he can be the best at, those guys coming here, they want to beat the best. They were the best in their countries, kind of like the great high school athlete, right? You're the best in your high school. Go out and challenge yourself, and that's what these international players are doing out here on the PBA Tour now. And we're truly getting the best players in the world.
Just a quick update here to that lane 45 right there. That was Ronnie Russell's ball. He had the front 8 until that frame, and you saw that ball was a little weak through the pins. It may have missed it at the bottom. Trying to hook it so much. He always screws it in the lane, gets it on lane really quickly, kind of beats the front of the lane up a bit more than most of the other players out here. And he did miss a couple of easy spares early this morning, but he's 425 over, and then he had the front 8, so he can keep pace for the next 2 games. He should be in this number and moving on to the top 24 for tonight and all day tomorrow.
5-game scoring update is in now. Marshall Kent still our leader. 254 over on the day. He only shot 236 last game. Dropped down a little bit. Plus 817. Francois Lavoie, Anthony Simonson, Martin Larson, Sean Maldonado. All 700 or better above par. EJ Tackett, Potus Anderson, and Chris Barnes. Arturo Quintero and John Zerbinski are the top 10. Run down here, 24th spot right now. Cameron Weir jumped back up to that 215 average. Plus 440. That's after 5. 3 more to go, so we're back in that 470s range, or maybe a little more, depending on how this thing hashes out. So a 3 to go on the scoreboard. You want to be within 50, 60 to feel like you have a legitimate chance? Does that sound about right, Matt?
Yeah, with 2 to go?
Yeah. Well, 2 to go here, 3 on the scoreboard. So, there's still, 10, 12 guys all the way down to Cameron Doyle, Kyle Sherman, Darren Tang, Palermo, plus 369. We'll jump back over there, but they need to make a move now.
Yeah, I would think that you're not going to want to need more than 230 your last 2 games on this pattern to get into the number. So I would say that's about right. I mean, 60 pins or less is probably the hope for most of these players that are close to that number.
And Chris Vi, who was our last man in, made a big run early, 193, 170 the last 2 to fall back to 35th. He went on a chart, but he's come up a little short right now. He is 80 off the number. But some guys that are definitely cementing themselves into match play. We mentioned the top 10, Kent, Lavoie, Simonson, Larson, Maldonado, Tackett. No surprise, very familiar names at the top of leaderboards. And a few of the veterans working their way up and just hanging in there with Barnes, Rhino Page, Bill O'Neill, you mentioned earlier. No surprise, he's just hanging around. Plus 540, 93 over on the day.
Yeah, that's that extremely large limb that we were on earlier, saying he was going to bowl well this morning.
Seems like a few days ago, I remember Walter Ray being just barely over, and now he's plus 514. He found something, that's for sure.
Yeah, a lot of people think Walter can only play right of the second arrow. You know, if he's right of the track, he's certainly one of the best in the world, if not the best in the world, playing out there. But he's not afraid to throw it over the gutter.
You don't win 99 total PBA titles without having some versatility.
Yeah, he's not nearly as one-dimensional as most people may assume. And he doesn't give pins away. Certainly can't stress that enough in formats this long, regardless of the scoring pace. You can't give pins away. Because then you need to shoot 270. And you can't need to shoot 270 against these guys.
Walter's spare percentage is what keeps him in all these events because he doesn't have those 9-0s.
Yeah, you would think that is the main reason why he's able to still compete is because he fills the frames when he's not throwing all the strikes, like some of these young guys. You know, Wes Malott has been able to afford to miss some single pins in his career because he throws 8-baggers.
Right.
Walter Ray has to do it a little bit differently.
Well, you mentioned Ronnie Russell earlier. Here's Andrew Anderson with a 9 miss. I mean, if you have 1 9 miss and 8-game block over 3 days, you're giving Walter Ray 36 pins. You're just handing him 36 pins.
Right.
Because he's not going to have 9-0. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, he might have an 8-1 in there. He might chop the 3 off the 6 or something on the double burn, something like that, where even his plastic ball hooks a board and gets offline. But yeah, I would imagine he's only missed 1 or 2 spares over these 32 games. Or this is the 30th game, right?
Yeah, this is game number 30. And not just all the action we just talked about on Extra Frame. Coming up Wednesday, CBS Sports Network, 8 o'clock, these U.S. Open Finals. Sunday, December 11th on ESPN. 1 p.m. live PBA World Championship Finals, the conclusion of the World Series. A couple of weeks. And then we start all the World Series TV shows the following week. But 2 live shows for major titles coming up over the next few weeks. CBS Sports with the first one here, and ESPN with the live PBA World Championships. Gary Faulkner Jr., defending champion of that event, will try to defend. Ryan Simonelli not able to defend his title here.
Yeah, he had quite a few carry issues this week, and I think that's part of the reason why his score was maybe a little bit lower than some may expect, is because he was trying to, at some point, he decided to not try and just hit the pocket. He decided to throw strikes. And when you do that, you give the pocket away and you leave yourself open for some bigger splits.
Well, and the added pressure of trying to defend the U.S. Open. I mean, it was a big win for him last year. He definitely had something to prove with the Player of the Year voting, thinking he had a good chance to win that.
Yeah, he wanted that bad.
Yeah, and I think, so it makes you even want this even more. Okay, you know what? I'm going to go defend my title then. I'm going to show everybody I'm going to do it. And I think just watching him, and there might have been a little bit of that there. I mean, I saw him a lot of shots where he was off balance, and as powerful of a ball he throws, it's amazing how many shots that he posts. So strong.
Yeah, he's been working out like some of these other kids that are coming out on tour, going to the gym in the mornings before their block starts even sometimes. And, that's like the Amleto deal, Ron Moore, those guys that are over 50 that are in better shape than the guys that are in their 20s.
You know Ron Moore's regiment? He just does like 1,000 push-ups, 1,000 sit-ups every day. He's all calisthenics, and not just 10. it's a lot. But yeah, and maybe that's something that these kids and some of the other players out here, you know what, if Elmetto can do it, you know what, I probably should be too.
Right. Yeah, that's something that I've been thinking about. If I'm going to come out and embarrass myself on the lanes, and I'm certainly going to be in better shape doing it. Because this is brutal for somebody like myself who can sit up here and talk about bowling all day, but get on the lanes and, you know, after 8 games, you feel like you bowled a month's worth of league.
Well, but and again, this is the ultimate test here on this pattern and this format, these 24 games. I had a chance to talk with Chris Prather at the end of his block last night. He was bowling good, but he said, I'm tired. I mean, young kid, right? He's going to turn 25.
Yeah, early
January
20s.
1st.
Makes me feel a little better.
But yeah, I mean, and looking at him, and you could see, like, he said, it's just, I'm tired. I'm out of shape. He's talking about his lower body. You know, he said, my legs are done. He was 3-stepping it, doing a little bit loft. He said, if I had to 5-step at these last 2 games, I don't know if I could have finished. I mean, he was just that tired. I mean, so you take the physical grind, add the mental grind on top of it, and you got to be in shape here to make this happen. I don't know how many viewers understand how much your lower body is part of the swing. I mean, that's, you know, your core and your legs, you get so much power, and today's power game doesn't come from the arms. I mean, you just don't get Arnold Schwarzenegger chucking a bowling ball down there.
Right.
It doesn't work. You have to use everything.
Yeah, when you watch Belmo bowl, his upper body doesn't move a whole lot these days. It doesn't look like he's trying very hard to throw it very hard, and that's because his lower body is synced up properly.
Right.
His leverage points are about as perfect as they can be. And another guy who looks like he's not trying very hard with a whole lot of leverage is Bill O'Neill. He's got great leverage points. That's the lower body doing the work for those guys.
And I think that's the biggest improvement in Belmo over the last 10 years is, I don't know how many people realize, watch his footwork. His slide foot isn't turning sideways at the line. He's posting 99% of his shots.
Yeah.
And that's why you're successful. You know, your release is consistent, your power is consistent. You're not just, you know, overpowering it and falling off balance.
The best bowlers on this tour are consistently going to have their toe and heel of their slide foot perpendicular to the foul line. You will see some guys get away with a little bit of a snow plow where it becomes a little bit more parallel, kind of like E.J. Tackett, but that's because he uses so much lower body that he needs the snow plow so he can stop before the foul line.
But he's up on his toes
so
like
quickly.
A lot of these young kids. They're up on their toes with the power, so that kind of happens that way. But a good firm base is Zerbinski is another one to watch. Very, very solid.
Mm-hmm. Chris Barnes that we see right here, he doesn't fall off. The only time he steps is when he's trying to throw it harder and keep his body moving, but he's doing that on purpose. He's not falling off because he's out of balance. He's falling off, you know, trying to keep his weight moving forward to throw it faster.
Barnes with a nice little 6-bagger. 570 over.
Yeah, Chris Barnes, I think, was struggling a little bit early on the fresh day one. Kind of searching for it, then got a couple of big games there the first day, and it seemed like he's had some slower starts to his blocks lately, and then picking it up quite a bit.
Yeah, Barnes started on the fresh on a Friday, 203, 203 the first two, 257, 224, 210, 229, 204, 201. Pretty solid block, but yeah, started, you know, a little 2-0 yesterday, or I guess it would be Saturday.
If this is the fresh, it would have been Friday.
The fresh, first one's fresh.
Yeah, so
Then it comes
Friday.
in on the double day 2, right? They get the long break, 208, 188. So yesterday was his biggest start, 229, 278, 507 for 2 on the afternoon block.
He didn't slow down very much either, of course, till the last 2 games, 201, 180, but he was in the number firm and probably you would think he was a little tired, if not physically, mentally for sure. as we've mentioned so many times, Chris Barnes, the staple tactician out here, I'm sure his head hurts more than everybody else's when he's done, more than his body. Of course, he is taped up this week. A lot of players using that Genesis tape around their wrist and elbow area, forearms, and such. As we had Maria in here.
Hey, a chance to talk to Maria, one of the staffers for Genesis.
She's always a pleasure to talk to.
I've had chances to use the Genesis tape, and I tell you what, it works. I don't understand it. I'm not the scientific type person. I know there's the copper technology and the different things and the way it's made to keep the blood flowing, but it works.
So you do understand it.
Yeah, a little bit, but I just don't, be simple. It's tape on your arm, it works. There's reasons, obviously, but it's just, it's not the same as athletic tape, right? I guess the difference that I understand with it, and I'm sure Maria talked about it too, you tape your wrist with the tape, you're stopping it from moving, right? You're cutting the blood supply off.
Like an ace bandage type tape where you're just wrapping it.
Yeah, like football players tape up so they don't bend.
Right.
This is the type of stuff to keep that blood flowing and keep it from swelling, is my understanding. But also proper application. So as Marie was saying, don't just put it on right. We also had Chris Sand talking about their new products. Very similar. Same thing. Learn how to do it properly, because you can do it wrong, and it's not going to do you any good.
You could hurt yourself by applying it improperly onto your arms or legs, shoulders, back.
Yeah, we see Quintera and Palermo both with it on their arms, and there's reasons for that, and there's reasons on how it's put on there.
Yeah, Arturo's got it all over. He's got some different colors on there. I'm assuming that the color is just color. I don't think it has anything to do with anything else.
Color.
It's just color.
Yep.
Not like the thumb protection tape that a lot of these bowling companies have. Those colors are important. They are different textures.
Yes, and we've had several guests in the booth talking about that. It's always, we appreciate all these industry guests taking their time, all the ball reps and some other people here with work to do, but taking time to talk to us in the booth, talking about the products. We learn about it at the same time, right? I think Cecil Scarborough yesterday from Vice was talking about their new tape, and it's going to be color-coded, but it's different thicknesses, right? So it's not just a color, so you can identify different thicknesses in their tape and other things like that. Just more things for our viewership and our fans out there to pick up on, not just bowling, but we bring in these experts and these people. We just talked to Corey Hoffman. Man, that guy knows a lot about bowling.
Yeah, if we're not learning, we're not living, right? That's what we're doing up here. We're learning as we go, just like anybody else and anything else.
So we hope all you fans out there on Extra Frame enjoy it, and don't forget to tell your friends free preview tomorrow of 16 games of match play. And we'll set the show tomorrow night. Who's going to be on CBS Sports?
A little surprising, Osku struggling. He's been struggling in the last couple games, trying to hang on, and he gets that four-bagger, and then he has a couple of opens. He had to do the same thing the previous game. Had an open, had a couple strikes, and backed him up with another open or two. So a little bit surprised there. I bowled with Osku this week. He's very even keel. He's very good at overpowering the lane. As far as damage control, he could throw it at the head pin just as hard as anybody else. We saw Tom Smallwood go on damage control last night just to make this cut. And definitely would have thought Osku would have made the top 24. Because I bowled with him, and on the fresh, he had a pretty good look. He was throwing urethane, and figure with his speed and rev rate and these other guys playing around the same area that it wouldn't make it more difficult for him. But you still got to play the game, still got to make a decision and make the best shot you can, and it doesn't always work out that way.
Well, next time you get to bowl a block with Osku, make sure you say nice amutu. I'm sure you say it a lot to him.
How do I say?
Nice amutu. That's nice shot and finish.
Nice amutu.
Nice amutu.
I'd really like to know what his response would be.
Yeah,
could be anything.
Thanks.
Yeah. That's not how you pronounce it.
Last shots here for Barnes and Quintero in game number 6. That means game 7 is next. Only 2 to go. We're going to set the top 24 here very shortly on who's coming back this afternoon for a chance to win a major title. And Chris Barnes did not like that shot at all.
No, the lane 44, I think they had a little bit of a blackout, made him wait an extra minute or 2 longer than he was hoping, and he was on the approach when it happened, so he had to back off, and maybe just wasn't able to truly collect his thoughts and get prepared. Maybe he thought he was waiting a little too long and just wanted to go. Usually you don't see him turn around that quickly. I mean, once a block, he might throw a shot where he just thinks is the worst thing ever, and that may have been it right there.
Well, and that goes right back to the comment you just said. If you're not learning, you're not living, right? The players at this level don't just watch a ball. You want to watch it go through the pins because you're going to learn something from that, right?
Right.
Yeah, you can strike, but there's good strikes and bad strikes, right? I mean, if
strikes that can, this kind of strike is a lot more consistent of a strike than other ones.
Right. And that's how these players make their adjustments. So, and I'm sure obviously you all know, if your ball could be striking, but if the pins aren't really falling the way they should, that tells you it's time to move or adjust off that, so you can keep striking. Because on this pattern, you just can't keep throwing the exact same spot for 10 frames. You're not going to get 10 reactions the same.
Yeah, the pattern's just too flat to start out for it to be that way, for you to be able to not have to move too much throughout the game, especially as a right-hander.
Sure.
But with this asymmetrical pattern, they're trying to make it more even for the lefty-righty to, when you make it more difficult for the righties and it's a symmetrical pattern, sometimes it becomes extremely easy for the lefties, and then you try to make them a little bit easier for the righties, and it becomes extremely difficult for the lefties. And it's hard to marry the two, and this asymmetrical pattern is a great idea. And we're seeing it. We have a couple lefties in there. We got some righties. We got some different rev rates, certainly different roles out there. Francois Lavoie and Marshall Kent, if you were to watch them bowl, you would think they're quite a bit different. But they're only 40 pins or whatever away from each other, 50 pins away from each other after 31 games of the most grueling competition ever.
Well, we've got 4 players right here on this double wide pair. 713 over for Martin Larson, 750 over for Simonson, 864 for Kent, and 785 for Lavoie. All better than 700 ahead of par, and not one of them throw the ball the same. Definitely more than one way to get it done, but you have to make good shots, make proper adjustments, and commit to everything. 6 games in the books here of the 8-game Cashers round. Game 7 underway. Matt Freiberg and Craig Elliott will be back with more here live on Extra Frame. Don't forget about XF2 bonus coverage with Phil Brylow going on right now.
from the USBC tournament office.
Marshall Kent still your leader, extending his lead. He's out at
6-game scoring update to share. Still our leader, Marshall Kent, plus 864. 301 over on the day. Francois Lavoie, second. Anthony Simonson, Sean Maldonado, Martin Larson, Chris Barnes, E.J. Tackett, Arturo Quintero, John Zerbinski, Rhino Page, our top 10. I'll give you the rest of the top 24. And find your favorite bowler on this list. Pontus Anderson, Tommy Jones, Brad Miller, Bill O'Neill, Walter Ray Williams Jr. is in 15th. Chris Prather, DJ Archer, Ronnie Russell, A.J. Chapman, Sam Cooley up to 20th. Andres Gomez, Jason Belmonte, Paul Moore, and right now, Thomas Larson plus 453 with 2 to go. Larson shot 165 game 6 to fall back to plus 453. So as we were talking about, you want to be within 60 pins to feel like you got a legit chance here. That brings only about maybe 8 of the bowlers. Cameron Weir, Zach Wilkins, Brandon Novak, Sean Rash, Andrew Kane. Only 6 within 60 pins. Chris Vi is at plus 375. 78 back, and he is on, 230s possible this game. You need a big finish. Some of the bowlers are going to run out of time. Dino Castillo, Tom Smallwood, Devin Bidwell, Aaron Lorentz, Norm Duke. Jake Buttriff too far back to make up the ground. All scores available at pba.com. And while you're there, check out the rest of the website. A lot of great information. Check the extra frame schedule. Check the tour schedule 2017. About half of that tour schedule is posted as well. Find out where the PBA Tour is going to be near you and go out and check out an event live and in person. And you'll get to see Anthony Simonson, Marshall Kent, and all these players. First 8-game block of position round scheduled for 5 o'clock local time, 8 o'clock Eastern. Set a reminder to be able to come back and join us as we start the 24-game match play tonight, right here on Extra Frame.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what kind of surface changes these guys make once they're done with this block, because you can't drill bowling balls. So these guys that are going to be in the top 24 that maybe didn't have such a great block this morning, just kind of hovering around even or maybe a couple over, but were cemented in the top 24 to begin the day. They're going to have to do something different and make some changes to be able to keep up with guys like Francois and Marshall. So
I thought you could drill last night before this or after this round. I thought there is a time you can drill, maybe going into the top 24.
Well, maybe that is the case. I was under the impression that once you started the U.S. Open, you could not drill a bowling ball.
Yeah, we can maybe find the answer to that. I thought I heard that you can after, I don't know if it was coming into this round or the next round possibly. We can validate that, verify it for sure, but I heard Tom Doherty make a comment today. He didn't make the cut, but he says, I take 15 balls to tournaments. I know where all 15 are. I only had 8 here, and I'm having trouble finding all 8 of them.
Marco Marcus saying that you can drill going into tonight, like you say, but then that's it.
Not a lot of time to do it. So I'm guessing maybe some of these players Might have had a couple ready or are getting stuff ready now because there's only a short break. I'm guessing Keith is going to be pretty busy on the truck for the next few hours with some of these players. We'll recondition the lanes here at the South Point Bowling Plaza. Have a nice lunch break, early dinner, and be back at 5 o'clock for the opening round of match play. And I will have Jeff Goodger and Marshall Holman joining me here in the booth for that first 8-game block. Interesting that Chris Vi is so far right. Maybe that's what he thinks he's got to do to get away from everybody else to make up that ground right now. Tournament leader, Marshall Kent, plus 864. Coming up on lane 38. That was an excuse me reaction and leaves a 10 pin. A little single wide coverage real quick. See what we got going. Zerbinski plus 568. Brandon Novak fell out of the cut plus 417 and not going to make up ground this game. Wesley Lowe at plus 350. Sam Cooley plus 487. Except two coverage, Don Barrett, Dave Watka, Josh Blanchard. With Phil Brilo on the call. Two streams going simultaneously here this morning from South Point at the U.S. Open. Be sure to check that out. If you haven't seen this yet, watch this form of Sam Cooley. Picked up his first big win, I think maybe the China Open or something like that, not too long ago. An Australian. That's a pretty good shot right there for Mr. Cool. Sam Cooley back over to double wide. Leader Marshall Kent, 10-pin his last shot. That one didn't quite get out as far. Much better result. Good, nice 2-8-10 conversion from Dick Allen we saw here just a few frames ago. Don't see that too often. But strikes from Martin Larson we have seen quite a bit here this week.
You know, we're on a new day in this sport when Dick Allen can't hook it nearly as much as half of the guys in the field. He used to be the guy that would hook it the most. Big slow wheel, hit up on it, make the ball tip from everywhere. Struggling quite a bit now trying to get his ball to face up to the pocket in any fashion like the guys that he's competing against right now. Times they are a-changing, Craig.
They are, and Dick Allen made the cut to the top 57. Going to get a nice check, cash in here this week, but not going to advance to the top 24. And he almost picked that up again?
Yeah, that would have been interesting if he would have got a little love there again on the 2-8-10. I've certainly never seen anybody make the 2-8-10 twice in one game. I don't think I've ever seen any one person make the 2-8-10 twice ever. I made the 2-8-10 one time. It was in practice, and I was shooting the 1-2-8-10.
So in the Petraglia scoring system, you were hoping for possibly a 3.
Yeah, speaking of which, yeah, Johnny Petraglia Jr. is supposed to be on his way here this afternoon. I would love to get some information about that Petraglia scoring system just to have some other concepts out there in the universe. We can talk about an extra frame maybe tomorrow or something just to see what people think about different types of scoring.
Do you know the one Petraglia scoring system Titleist? Who won it?
I really wish you had let me know you would ask me that question so I could find the answer and say, let me think about that for a second. I have no idea, Craig.
Her husband just walked down the stairs.
Oh, Dell.
Yes.
Ballard
Yes.
Jr.
Carolyn Dorham Ballard won the Petraglia scoring system event. One and only. And for those of you that have no clue what we're talking about, it's just if you knock all the pins down in one shot, it's 1. You keep throwing the ball on that frame until you knock down all the pins. You could have a 10. Low score wins. We just talked that 2-8-10 for Dick Allen. The first shot was 1. The 2-8 was 2. Get the 10 pin the next one, it's a 3. Or, could be more. If you miss a 10, you got to keep going. So obviously a perfect score would be 10.
Not 12.
So you're counting the number of shots.
It would
number of shots each frame to knock down all the pins.
Right, and then the 10th frame is just there is no continuous.
Right. Yeah, it's just a 10th frame.
Okay.
So if you take 2 shots,
2-8-10 for Dick Allen. Wow.
If you have an all spare game, it's 20. Another 2-8-10.
Yeah.
Oh, not going to have a chance to pick this one up. But let him shoot it. Come on, let's let him shoot it.
He can.
Oh, he can. This is his field ball. Yeah.
Yeah. He's going to shoot it.
That's right.
It's just a matter of whether or not he's going to shoot it to make the 2-8 or he's going to shoot it to try and line in. I would imagine he's going to try and make it. I don't see why he wouldn't try to make it at this point.
Yeah, 1 for 3. Almost 2 for 3. Not the ending he was hoping for. 170. Yeah, we were talking about the low ball last night. You ever played low ball, Matt?
I have.
That's tough.
Yes. Yes, it is. We have low ball tournaments at a local center out here in Boulder. A little 8-lane center, Boulder Bowl. Diana and Lonnie Cavins are the owners of that little center there. Really cool. Still have above ground ball returns. Just went to synthetic lanes and I think they have synthetic lanes and approaches. They may still have the wood approaches. At least last time I was there, they did have wood approaches and synthetic lanes. They only had like 5 300s in the 50 or 60 years they were open up until the synthetic lanes a few years ago. And there have been a few more now, but they still don't have a lot of 3 or 800 series. And with the above ground ball returns, they have low ball tournaments there on a regular basis.
We have a center back in Michigan that's never had an 800 series in the center.
Oh, wow.
I think it's in Lapeer.
That must be one of the last centers in the country, unless there's one that just got built that just hasn't had enough lines on it yet.
This place has been around for 50 or 60 years.
Yeah.
Old woodhouse. Don't see a lot of the woodhouses anymore.
No,
it's fun to bowl on them when you get a chance.
Yeah, if there were wood houses, you would think they would be kind of in that north region there, in that Michigan area, Ohio.
Yeah, Wisconsin.
And then over
a lot of little centers still in Wisconsin. The 4 and 6 lane, lounges with 4 or 6 or 8 lanes. Bars, I guess we should call them. Makes more sense. But
yeah, I'm thinking they have some of those in Pennsylvania where they have like 6 lanes with a bar in there. The little clubs, the little bowling clubs. I know a couple bowlers that bowl some regionals on the east. They belong to some of those clubs. You pay like a monthly fee to belong to it, and you pay like $1 a cocktail or something in there. Pretty awesome. In the Michael Martin's telling me in the Allentown, Pennsylvania area. I've been to 1 or 2 of those. They're pretty cool. They probably don't get a whole lot of high scores in there.
Oh yeah, probably not. Unique centers, though. It's fun to kind of see some of those places, some of those older centers, and travel and check them out. You see all these new, like this beautiful facility here, South Point, 60 lanes here, 64 in the regular bowling center, 124 lane facility here at South Point with the 2 combined. A lot of big centers all across the country, but it's kind of neat to see some of those old places when you get a chance. Brendan Novak, plus 417. Gonna need a big finish. I think Wesley Lowe is going to have to shoot 300 and get some help. Sam Cooley staying ahead of the cut right now, picking up some pins. And John Zerbinski looks to be in pretty good shape. End of Game 7, 8th and final game to get to the top 24. Coming up next right here live on Extra Frame. Eighth and final game. Craig Elliott, Matt Freiberg here. Cashier's round. U.S. Open, South Point Bowling Plaza. 7 or 8 frames left for the rest of these players to try to get to that top 24. If not, they will have to watch this afternoon. And all our fans out there can watch right here live on Extra Frame. 5 o'clock local time, 8 o'clock Eastern. I will be joined by Jeff Goodger and Marshall Holman for the first 8 games. 24 games of match play. That's 720 bonus pins available. Matt Freiberg, anything can happen at that point.
Yeah, that's a lot of pins. A lot of extra pins available to these players.
And a quick look here. Marshall Kent at plus 889 right now. He's going to lead this tournament. The way he's throwing the ball right now, phenomenal. He's what, 3?
He's 330 over for 7 games on the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
But with all the bonus pins, you know what? Hey, you never know what's going to happen. There's going to be 23 other bowlers that are going to be gunning for him. And you got to know when you're that dominant, every time somebody comes up against you in match play, they're going to want it that much more.
Yeah, you would think that when you're leading the U.S. Open like this and you're striking as much as he is, that you're the predator, but you're certainly going to be the prey once you get in the match play. And it's going to be interesting. You know, right now, he's obviously more than pretty lined in. He's extremely lined in and knows what his bowling balls are doing. But once the reel happens again, and he starts bowling against some of these other guys, he's going to be forced to throw a double at some point, and that's when you're going to start to see the difference between how guys react to what their ball is doing in qualifying and then match play and so on and so forth when you get into stepladder finals and everything, is when you need to throw the double to win the match. It's different than, let's say needing to throw a double to shoot 220. Just to add some pins to your score. Right. You're not just adding pins to your score. Now you're trying to get those bonus pins to create some separation and get the wins. And it always feels good to get a W even if you're out of the tournament. You always want to get that win. So he's going to be bowling against some people that have no chance of making this show, and they're going to be trying to shoot 300 at him to steal those bonus pins away from him just to get the win. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be pretty intense, and I think it's going to be a pretty tight show. I don't think anybody's going to really completely dominate. I mean, he's starting to build the lead right now. He's got the front 3 this game, but I think it's going to stay fairly tight for this show.
Well, we've got our 31 game update after 7 here today. As you just said, Marshall Holman 1726. For 7 games, plus 326. So he is 95 pins ahead of second place now, Francois Lavoie. Sean Maldonado, Anthony Simonson, Martin Larson, E.J. Tackett, Chris Barnes, Arturo Quintero, John Zerbinski, and Rhino Page is our top 10. The important number we need to watch now as we'll work on this cut score. Andrew Kane is now 24th, plus 431, but a big gap to 23rd. 47 pins up to that next spot of Paul Moore in 23rd spot. That's a bit of a surprise to see that gap pop
so we
up
got, what, five guys going for one spot? Is that kind of what it's looking like it's going to be? Depending on what Paul Moore does, of course, this game.
Yeah. I mean, we can go down 1, 2, 3, 5 spots to Zach Wilkins at plus 410. 21 pins out of the number. And then there's another 24-pin jump to Sean Rash. So we'll start watching these players and see who's doing what.
Yeah, Paul Moore is Dutch through 4 frames right now. Strike spare.
And yeah, he just needs to shoot 210, and it'd be, I think, tough for somebody. He's got that 47-pin cushion. So he would need a couple guys to shoot 260s or better to jump around him. And we have Paul Moore right here, and that's he's got the tough pair, 35 and 36. We saw it start out pretty good scoring earlier. It's starting to level out here a little bit as the block rolls on.
Yeah, I saw Andrew Kane having a conversation with one of his ball reps earlier. Didn't look extremely comfortable at that moment. That was about the end of last game.
Well,
8th or
Zach
9th
Wilkins
frame.
and Andrew Kane are on the same pair, so Wilkins knows exactly where he is at, 21 pins back. Kane starts out strike spares. Wilkins, day one leader, starts with a double. So I guess if you're Zach, you're where you want to be. You got the guy you're chasing on your pair. You know exactly what you've got to do. But Cameron Weir, Wes Malott, Brad Angelo, and Thomas Larson are all within that 21 pin area. And don't forget about Sean Rash, 35 back.
Sean Rash with 6 spare, 8 spare strike.
He's getting real close to sheet mode now.
And Cameron Weir has 9 spare, 5-3 strike. First Cameron.
Thank you. I want to talk to you about spectator. I knew that's what that was. I want to talk to you a little bit. Yeah. Tomorrow we're putting another. Yeah, we just got a note. There is no Royale. That's I'm kind of surprised. I'm almost
did not expect
shocked.
that.
Yeah, I guess maybe we weren't told that. We just assumed that there would be.
I certainly did not read there was a re-oil or no re-oil. I assumed for sure that there was.
Well, that's the power of
that's
extra
on me
frame.
there.
We mentioned it here, and the lane man come out and said, "Hey, I just got a call. You said there's a re-oil. I'm the guy doing it. I'm not oiling."
Yeah, he just came up the booth, just said no re-oil, and I was like, "Who? I'm sorry, I'm not sure who that is saying."
Like, how do you know? That was,
I'm the lane guy.
Yeah, well, I believe him.
Yep.
Getting
Of course, we are taking his word for that he is the lane guy.
Well, yeah. We've seen him here all week.
Yeah, he's the lane guy. Just didn't know his name. Mike, I believe I overheard him say.
So Malott is 9 back, and he is got his first strike with one open. Brad Angelo is 12 out coming in.
And that changes things, man, for the
stand up here
no
and see
re-oil.
what's happening. Yeah, it sure does.
That's a little different. That's gonna allow somebody like Marshall Kent to create separation. I assume there was a re-oil which would disallow the separation, even though he was crushing it.
Right.
You know, going into match play, it's a different ball game there when you need to throw doubles to win your match and get those bonus pins. So no re-oil is going to be pretty interesting.
Where's Brad Angelo hiding? There he is. He's on the same pair as Wes Malott. Strike, spare, strike. So he's working on getting in there.
Extra Frame fans are going to get to see some over the gutter tonight, no doubt.
Oh yeah, I'm getting excited about that now.
Corey Hoffman's going to love that.
That was fun to watch the other day, especially with Marshall.
Corey Hoffman, of course, the 3G rep that we had in the booth just a little while ago, saying how unfortunately he wasn't able to catch the in front of the ball return over the gutter blocks earlier this week because of work obligations, and he's here today, and he's going to be excited to see that, as are we.
Chicks dig the big wheel, old ball reps dig the loft.
That's right. Yeah, when we were junior bowlers, we wanted the T-shirts that read "Chick Dig the Big Curve."
And jumping up even ahead of Paul Moore's gap, that 47-pin gap. Then it's another 27 pins up to Brad Miller. So Brad Miller is in by 74. But only 2 spots are the number. So, looks like there's probably only going to be that 1 spot available.
Yeah, somebody's going to need to forget what they're doing here to not make it.
Paul Moore can definitely affect that, though. He's got that. That's a split. How did
That is a
happen?
split, yes.
You don't see that too often for a righty. He is a righty, isn't he?
Paul
no,
Moore
Paul's a
lefty.
lefty. Okay,
Yes.
that makes more sense. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense to see that.
I'm sure there was a right-hander this week that left a 2-4, 7-10. All the crazy entry angles we had this week.
Yeah, that's going to make things interesting there
Yeah,
for.
that's not the best middle of a game that Paul Moore is looking for, but I would imagine that he's still going to stay safe. Whereas Cameron Weir, if he goes sheet, if Sean Rash goes sheet, that certainly can mix it up a little bit. But Sean Rash did have 7-1. And a scout that just missed the 10 pin in the 6th frame, so he has about 100 right now through halfway through the game.
So if we go all the way down to Oscu, that puts 8 players within 50 pins of that final spot.
Oscu, strike, 6 out, 8-1.
That's
6-0 non-split in the 3rd frame for Oscu. Pretty rare there to see him get 0 pins on a 6 count.
So Wilkins after the opening double, spare. Andrew Kane, strike, 6 spare, 8 spare, 7 spare.
Lots of 6s and 7s happening right now from lefties and righties. One- and two-handed.
Quick look here. Anybody, this is Marshall Kent's pair. All right, nobody, they're both Kenton Laval and Dick Allen and Haynes out, so we'll just focus on Cameron Weir here. Paul Moore, the 2 guys that can jump in or out.
Yeah, Dick Allen just hoping to add a diamond to his PBA 300 ring with the front 7. A consolation prize. He can throw a 5-bagger to finish this U.S. Open.
Brett Angelo double spared 3-bagger. Still can shoot 270s.
Yeah, and Cameron Weir with a very difficult but makeable spare, the 248. That spare is not fun to shoot on a house shot. Rather shoot the bucket.
One we haven't talked about, Thomas Larson. We see Larson. He's only 27 behind. Oh, down in the end pair. Strike, spare, double, spare. So what's that, 230s max? Probably not going to be enough. And Cameron Weir with a second open.
Yeah, he did unfortunately chop that 248. Kind of missed it going away.
Brad Angelo right now is the guy that's looking to jump in there. He's got the biggest game going of the contenders. Sean Rash.
Sean Rash is in front of us here. Literally more in front of us.
Yeah, he's got a tough game going. A couple of spares, a double and open. And now another couple of spares. Looks like he's not going to be able to get enough pins.
And it looks like that quiet aggression is not as quiet at the moment for Brad Angelo.
No, you guarantee Brad knows exactly.
Oh yeah,
the
he
situation.
knows the score.
He's a guy that definitely watches that all the time. Knows the situation around him. And now double spare 4-bagger for Angelo. How about Paul Moore? Is he bouncing back?
He did double. He did double after that.
So what's max score for Moore though if he sheets it?
I believe his max score is 213.
So they put him at 491, 60 ahead of Kane if he
Paul Moore
do
can
that.
shoot 213.
Andrew Kane 9 spare. So 6, 8, 7, 9 spare after the first strike. Kane trying to hold on to that last spot. That'd be quite the story if a former USBC president can win the U.S. Open with Andrew Kane.
He would be the only one, I would assume.
I think so.
Or to win any major, probably. I would imagine.
So check the scores at pba.com. You'll see which of your favorite players are in. We're following 9 players, looking for that last 1 or 2 spots only here. So if Angelo shoots 279, that puts him at 498, which would go around Paul Moore.
Yeah, Paul Moore can get to 91,
Yes.
491. That would be crazy if the number jumped up like that.
And Brad Miller, let's just verify that he's not going to affect that at all. Where is Brad? I mean, you'd have to shoot like
Brad
150.
Miller is pacing not much more than 150 right now.
Oh, all right.
Open, double, spare, open, spare.
Wow. Keep an eye on that one.
So I believe he's got 85 in the 5th with a spare in the 6th.
I mean, he was ahead of that cut by 74, but a $150 game doesn't quite make him safe. We're watching all the players looking over top of our vantage point here. You can see the entire bowling center, no matter where you're standing, on all the scoreboards. So it's a little easier to keep track of everything that's happening. Oscar Palermo strikes in the 6th, but he had 3 consecutive opens. Best he can shoot is 194. So Oscar is out. Sean Rash.
I think Sean Rash can max score 220, I believe.
Yeah, 222. So that would put him at 408. Yeah, that'd be hard to believe that's going to be enough. Zach Wilkins.
No, that's not going to be enough. We're talking about Brad Miller at
Yeah.
505,
Yeah.
possibly having
Falling
people
back.
go around him. So
Yeah, he's going to fall back to 450. So Rash won't have enough. Zach Wilkins at 410. Started with a double. 3 consecutive spares and now a 5-count, 5-4 for Wilkins. And Andrew Kane with another 9 spare. So it looks like Andrew Kane's giving some guys some hope. Cameron Weir, what's Cameron doing now?
Cameron Weir can max score is about 228, I think.
So Walter is in 21st. He's locking down his spot. We're not worried about that. So possibly, though, depending on what Miller does, we could have 3 new names jumping there. A.J. Chapman's, he's staying clean. He's locking in his spot. Brad Angelo, another strike. Double spare 5-bagger for Angelo.
And he's about to get on the approach and bowl his 9th frame right now.
Zach Wilkins, max 201. He's not going to advance for Cashier's round. They're into match play. Thomas Larson. Is shooting 200, 211 max. Not enough.
Andrew Kane can get to 454.
Angelo on the approach. Let him go.
Oh, looks like he scouted the 10 on that one.
Yes, he did. Well, I wish we could have got a camera on him. He's just too far away to get that. He's got the look on the face. Don't mess with me right now. That guy's a competitor. He wants to win in every game he plays.
Brad Miller gets the double. I think his match score is 215. That will put him at 520. So let's call that par right there. So that will keep him ahead of Brad Angelo. Brad Miller will stay ahead of Brad Angelo. Brad Angelo.
Yeah, he can get 498 if he gets them all.
498 might be it. Cameron Weir cannot.
So Paul Moore 213. So he's at 491. He's done.
You see Chuck Gardner, ball rep for Brunswick DV8. Thank you, Chuck. All right, so Paul Moore finished at 491. Brad Angelo can go around him. And Brad Miller looking to stay ahead of him as well.
So right now we're looking at Andrew Kane, Cameron Weir, and Wes Malott. And this is assuming that Brad finishes it out. So we've still got 3 or 4 players looking for that, looks like that final spot. And Wes Malott, I think it should 223. That would be 445. Andrew Kane strikes in the 7th.
233 for Wes Malott, I think. Not 223. 233 for Wes Malott he can get to. Okay. So 33 would be 55. So 455 for Wes. So Wes can't get there. I'm getting some information that Wes is not going to be able to get there.
Well, I don't know. It depends on what Cameron Weir and Andrew Kane do. Right? Oh, well, 491. Angelo gets the first one in the 10th.
I think it's going to jockey between Paul Moore and Brad Angelo, depending on what he gets to.
Yeah, if Brad goes around Paul, then Paul's that last spot. Because Brad is the only person that can get ahead of Paul. So Paul's going to be in. Nobody else can pass him. He will be 23rd or 24th.
Right, Brad Miller can stay ahead of him or not, but would be there.
Oh yeah, Brad would have to shoot 184.
And he can shoot 225 going into the 10th frame.
Yeah, so Brad Miller's good. Angelo with his second shot. Oh, that's high. It's at 6 or 7.
8.
Split, so 310.
310.
So he's 265, 66 or 7 if he picks it up.
That's what, 75?
86.
80.
86 with a spare, 85 with 1. We'll keep an eye on this real quick.
So 85.
So Miller stays in 22nd, Moore in 23rd. And A.J. Chapman shooting 190. Yeah, Chapman's fine. Yeah, Chapman's okay. Just needs to fill frames. So Brad gets them both. Nice finish, 267. So that's 486.
86.
So Malott needs to shoot 264. He can't. Cameron Weir has to shoot 257.
Can't.
He can't. So Andrew Kane needs 255, and he cannot do that either. So I think what we see unofficially, right? What are you looking at?
I'm just looking at Brad Miller. I mean, he can shoot 225 and get to 530, but he's at 505. And
yeah, he just needs to stay ahead of Paul Moore's 491.
Right. So just, I mean, it is the U.S. Open. I mean, he could get
186. He shoots 186. He stays there. That's what it's got to be for Brad Miller.
So he just needs decent count then, pretty much, right?
Decent count, yeah. So unofficially, that's what we have. We got a few more frames to go, but it looks like Brad Angelo with that 267 finish is going to jump into that 24th and final spot. Of course, we'll wait for the official scores. It doesn't look like there's any possibility of a tie, unless there's something we missed, but I'm not sure what it could have been here. Looking at these numbers, there were some big gaps that made it a little easier to let the spots fill in. But we appreciate everybody for tuning in, staying with us here. Again, we'll leave the stream rolling for a little bit. Next round of match play starts at 5 o'clock local time, 8 o'clock Eastern. Matt Freiberg, thanks for joining us this morning on the call and this week. And
thank you very much.
Tomorrow morning.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Extra Frame fans. Thank you to Jeff Goodyear, Phil Brylow, Craig Elliott, Dave Schroeder. Thank you to the PBA and everybody that allows me to be in this booth talking bowling.
If anything drastic changes, we'll jump on real quick and let you know. If not, keep an eye on the webpage for the official numbers. U.S. Open action continues later this afternoon here from the South Point Bowling Plaza. Thank you for joining us.
year's United States Open. We'll tabulate the score sheets here. We'll put them in order, and as quick as we can, we will verify our